Morning, Rough Tough.
Those Lightning jerseys last night were awful.
No, I know.
Some third jersey I don't like at all. Coastal Carolina is raiding the field as a... Were they an underdog against App State? I thought they were favored by 3.
I thought they were favored too, but they did win the division last night.
Okay.
That field is so weird. $30 seconds. All right, here you go, 10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy Friday, where we ask the question, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's a Football Friday edition. Thanks so much for being with us. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
What edition is it?
Oh, what did I say? Football Friday. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you had enough sleep that you could, pound one of those out this early in the morning. I mean, didn't the baseball game end like 12 minutes ago?
Certainly seems that way. We're running on adrenaline this morning.
Whew.
Yes. The Astros now a game away from a world championship.
But, 3 years ago, they went home up 3-2 against Washington, and that didn't work out very well. So, Philly's got their best pitcher going in Game 6. We still got a series here. This thing ain't over. I'm just saying, this thing ain't over.
There's no reason to think that it is, the way it's gone back and forth the entire series. Hope you're right. Finally had, since Game 1, had a good, close, competitive game last night, a little bit more drama. Big catch in the 9th. I mean, come on. That was, for a 6.5, 7-hour baseball game, it delivered a couple of good moments. Wow.
Yeah, this was one of those Big 12 football games, a lot of passing and a lot of incompletions, and so it took a while. An 8:03 start ended at midnight. 3:57 for a 3-2 ball game. Whoo-wee. 11 pitchers didn't help. I mean, 3-2 ball game, you figure, 11 pitchers. Oh, boy. Well, combined, the starters went 8 innings. 3 for one, 5 for the other. Oh, boy. Here we go. So
Hey.
that's baseball in 2022, and yet we're celebrating that it was pretty good by baseball in 2022 standards.
It was 24 strikeouts.
Yeah, it's otherwise known as the normal game.
Yeah.
12 each. I mean, bada bing, bada boom. So Houston up 3-2, which let's face it, for those of us that had Houston in 6, this is kind of how we thought it would go, right? 1-1, somehow Houston would come home 3-2, and let's see if they can finish it. They'll throw their lefty Valdez out against the Phillies' best pitcher and Zach Wheeler, who will have Mongo rest. Both these guys will. This is a rematch of Game 2 that the Astros won 5-2. So Nola didn't respond well in his second start. Let's see if Wheeler can. If not, this thing's over.
And Syndergaard, they tried to just get one more out. Just kept trying to get one more out with him. And I mean, that's where we are from a guy who was the pitcher not too long ago, right? I mean, he was I don't know about a 1, but he was certainly a 2. And now you're asking a guy to get you 4 innings, and they can't do it. It is amazing on the surface of how much the game's changed in a short time.
Yes. I mean, just one trip through the lineup. Well, then let's see if he can get another out and another out. It's like, wait a minute, one trip through the lineup? We're not even going to do 2 trips through the lineup? And also, how about the difference between how they treated Syndergaard versus how Dusty with Verlander? The old warhorse who clearly doesn't have his best stuff. He's in and out of trouble for 3 of his 5 innings. He's got a guy at the plate who's his final batter who's, well, already homered off him in the series and hit the ball hard a few times and 10 pitch at bat, and he's throwing everything he's got at him. He threw his only changeup at the game to his final batter midway through the at bat. I mean, it reminded me of the Charlie Sheen movie there when he's got the starter out there and the manager comes out in the 9th inning against the Yankees and go, "How's you doing?" I got throwing everything I got at him, Skip. I slop, and I can get one more. Nah, we'll take you out now. So Verlander got through 5. He gets his W. Did you hear how they treated him after the game? They treated him like a rookie who got like his first hit. They took him, they put him in like a cart, they wheeled him into the shower in uniform, and they just doused him with water and powder and other stuff. And Verlander said, "Yep, they treated me like a rookie. It was one of the best moments of my career."
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was happy for Verlander as someone who's been a fan of his throughout his career. It was nice to see him finally get that World Series win. Wish it would have been many years ago when he was in Detroit, but what the hell
right.
I
was going to say a little more. would have helped you, the sports fan, out a little bit more if it had been with the Tigers.
Just
right?
A little bit, but what are you going to do?
I understand. And so, he could be done. That could be the last pitch we see from a 39-year-old Justin Verlander. Even he has said, I'm going to be a free agent and not quite sure what the future's going to hold here. Don't know if I'm staying. Don't know if I'm going. Don't know if I'm going home. So who knows if that's his last start or his last start as an Astro.
Would be for me. I'm telling you that right now. With that career, what he's done, he's going to the Hall of Fame, gets the proverbial monkey off his back in the World Series. They win one of the next 2 games. I'm done. We're done.
244, by the way, is his win total. For those wondering, I mean, he's likely to win his 3rd Cy Young Award. So he's going in the Hall of Fame. But he is one of the 3 best pitchers of his generation, along with Scherzer and Kershaw, right? I mean, is that the big 3 of their generation? Some want to throw Zach Greinke in and what have you, but I mean, in terms of Cy Youngs, it's those 3, right?
Yep.
And not even getting to 250, but 244, and at 39, he gets his World Series win, and we'll see if the Astros can finish it off. And Mattress Mac needs a $75 million win. $75 million win. Who do you think wants that one win more? Mattress Mac or Dusty Baker?
Dusty Baker.
25 years managing in the majors. It's taken 5 teams to the playoffs. Still looking for the ring as a manager. Got one as a player on the 81 Dodgers. He's a win away from the Hall of Fame. Let's be honest. He's a win. And he should already be in, but whatever. But he's a win away from a Hall of Fame career. I mean, his career mark in many ways is very similar to Joe Torre. Torre did have an MVP season as a player. Joe Torre was a good to very good player.
And Dusty was very much a good to very good player. There's no doubt.
And the funny thing is, until Torre managed the Yankees, Torre had only taken one team to the playoffs. He took the Braves to the playoffs, but he didn't have success with the Mets, didn't have success with the Angels, didn't have success with the Cardinals. Dusty's been a much more successful manager, through the first 4 stops of his career than Torre was. But that last stop was really good. And so Joe Torre went in. And I think most of us say deservedly so. Well, one more, baby. One more. Did they put a toothpick in somehow?
In the bust?
Somehow, some way? Do you?
I would hope so.
when
I
you
know
do
they
the
won't,
bust?
but it should have a toothpick in there. In fact, it should have the ability for that toothpick to roll.
Remember when Dion got in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? All right, and he put the do-rag on his bust. Okay, he said, if I'm going in, I got to go in like this. Okay, I even think Dusty would say, listen, if you're going to put me in and you just find a way to just slip a toothpick in on my left side if you could. I'd really appreciate that. So now the Phillies, first time they lost 2 in a row in the playoffs, first time they've trailed, right?
Yes.
I mean, they won game 1 against the Braves. They won game 1 against the Padres before coming home at 1-1 and, taking care of both. And they swept the Cardinals. So this is the first time the Phillies have trailed in the playoffs. Can Bryce Harper still win World Series MVP if they lose?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
His playoff numbers are great. His World Series numbers have been okay.
Gotcha.
So I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So day off today. Day off. A travel day. I have to admit, if I'm baseball, you sure? I mean, sure you don't just tee the sucker up at like 7:30 tonight? I don't know if you're aware, it's a pretty big football weekend.
They don't care.
No,
They're going back to their old ways and saying, we are baseball. We will stand by ourselves and we will win, even though they won't win.
They'll win, but that LSU-Alabama game is going to get about 6 million people, and then the Clemson-Notre Dame game may get 5. I mean, I'm just saying, you sure you don't want to play tonight? I mean, what we're going up against UMass and UConn in college football tonight, Oregon State, Washington late.
I thought when they had the delay, they may run straight through. I was surprised they added. I was, because I thought they'd want to end on Saturday. I really and truly did, David.
I did too. Plus, it's not awful travel. I mean, Philly to Houston, it's a direct 3-hour flight. I mean,
well, their travel anywhere is not awful. They fly on chartered planes. It's
right.
But
that's what I meant. I mean, it didn't matter, whether it was you and I on American or those guys being chartered. I mean, the game ended at midnight. They're on the plane. They literally would have landed an hour ago. Get to bed, sleep all day, go to the ballpark. I mean, otherwise known as a Major League Baseball season.
But a day off for a Saturday, Sunday potential game 7 on Sunday night, if Philly can get through game 6 and send it to an all-deciding 7th game. We will talk a lot of football on the show today. Lee Sterling will join us to make his picks, Pat Kirwan to talk all things NFL, and Chris Landry to get into what is just a spectacular college football Saturday. That's all still ahead on Miller and Moulton. David and I will make our picks, and by David and I making our picks, that means David will make his picks. I went back to the well. The 8-year-old made her picks after a 4-in-1 week a week ago. So we have that to look forward to as well. Miller and Moulton on a football Friday. We thank you so much for joining us. Back with more on the other side on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Whoa. That a girl? She's a peach. Oh, yeah, Adam. They sure did.
Yes, the Christmas station started November 1st, I believe.
Yeah, because I always have one of those stations programmed that runs the, different. The last one, it was Billy Joel. Like it's channel 104.
Yeah, we lose an hour, right? Saturday
Yes.
night into Sunday.
I'm starting to
Oh,
think that I should.
we gain the hour. Oh, wow.
We fall
ahead.
back.
Gotcha.
So,
Spring
yeah,
ahead. Gotcha.
we lose an hour of daylight.
But we gain an hour of sleep
Right.
just when I don't need it. I schedule my late flight.
Oh, is that tonight?
No, tomorrow.
Saturday night.
I'm starting to think I should have gone to that Warriors game.
Apparently it was a really good one.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. On a football Friday, we've got Lee Sterling an hour from now making his picks. He's having a good year. He is having a good year. Had a great week last week. We'll see if he can keep it up. Lee Sterling makes his picks. We'll make ours. Pat Kirwan talking NFL. Chris Landry talking college. Might get a little nitty gritty on the Georgia-Tennessee game, stopping Tennessee's offense and that sort of deal. Might talk some football. So hope you're ready for it a couple hours from now. You ready?
I am. I'm fired up for this weekend. Fired up. We get a 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, whatever you want to call this game.
Right. It's an elimination game.
It is. And it's the biggest game played in Athens in a long, long time.
Well, it's the biggest game that Tennessee has played. I mean, I could argue since the 98 national championship game. I know they played in the SEC title game a couple times afterwards, but
think about how many big Georgia games have you covered?
Half dozen. I mean, maybe as many as 8, but there's certainly a half dozen over the years.
And a few of them have been in Jacksonville.
2 were.
Right, but that's, and I'm thinking back to when Rick had a good team there and wore the black jerseys against Alabama and got absolutely pounded.
Right. We didn't have that game. That was an ESPN night game, 8. Okay, because he used it the year before against Auburn in 07 and it worked. So he came back the next year and used it against Alabama. And I think it was like 35-0 at the half.
Correct.
But, and Georgia was in a couple epic SEC championship games that we did. But in terms of regular season games, there was a cocktail party in 2012. Florida was unbeaten, number 2 in the country, and Georgia had 1 loss, and you knew winner was going to Atlanta and was very much alive in the national championship picture, and the Gators turned it over 5 times. Georgia won.
I think it could, I think Georgia played Clemson the year after they won the Natty in Athens, and both teams were ranked really high. But I think this is one of the biggest games ever played in Athens, if not the biggest. In terms of what rankings are, you'd have to go way back to find a game with a 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, whatever you want to call this.
Well, I don't believe Georgia's ever hosted a 1 versus 2. Yeah, whatever. You want to go with the playoff committee, then it's 3 hosting 1. How many times has the number 1 team in the country, played in Athens, quite frankly? I mean, Kirby's now 16 or 17 weeks been ranked number 1 in the country. Georgia's been ranked number 1 in the country for more weeks under Kirby Smart than they had in their entire football history. I mean, that's how successful Kirby is. But I mean, if you look at Tennessee as the number 1 team in the country, Spurrier was number 1 a few times, but they don't play that game on campus,
right?
And the 2 years that they did, I don't think Florida was number 1 in the country the year they came there and hung fitty.
That's what I'm getting to. And the fact that, as you pointed out yesterday, the moment Tennessee beat Alabama, the secondary ticket market in Athens exploded.
Oh, my goodness. Vols fans said, it is on. We are doing this.
So this is going to be the most Tennessee fans that have been in Athens in a long time. And people are going to this game without tickets just to be at the event. That doesn't happen. This is one that, hey, we're going to Athens. Got tickets? Nope. Plan on going? Not sure, but I'm going to Athens.
Right, Mark. Like you were in Baton Rouge for an Alabama night game in which, you canvassed the parking lot and you found many of the 30,000 people who just came to Baton Rouge for the weekend, even though they didn't have tickets, and they knew there's a very good chance they were going to get their hands on them. But they partied anyway, because that's what you do. What else are we to do? I'm at the game. I'm taking it in. I'll party with a bunch of people who got tickets. I'll hang out. I'll watch their cars. I'll sit in their chairs in the parking lot. And then we'll drink together for a couple hours after the game. What do you say? But yeah, this is a biggie. It's a biggie also because Alabama doesn't, play there very often. I think, could be wrong, but I think the last time Alabama played in between the hedges was 2015. Georgia's gone to Tuscaloosa at least once, maybe twice since then, but I don't think Bama's gone to Athens since 2015. And they were not the number 1 team in the country when they went because they had already lost a game. So that's something, Mark, I'm going to have to look into that. When's the last time Georgia hosted the quote-unquote number 1 team in the country?
I'm glad I could help you research and make you do a little bit more work for Saturday.
Thank you. No, I got time. I got time. Short flight. I'll be hanging out tonight. What the heck? Look some stuff up.
No World Series game to watch. You thought you had that going for you.
I know. Had this whole thing. I was going to, get comfortable and have Game 6 of the World Series. Damn rain out. What's an old guy like me supposed to do on a Friday night?
With no baseball, research statistics sounds like a great plan B.
Although I will say it's Atlanta and that their hoop, you go to any establishment, they got their hoop on. They They got their I mean, you want a little joke in it. The greater Atlanta area tonight would be to walk into a place and go, "Hey, can you put the Duke BC game on?" And just see how they react.
College basketball started?
I thought that was next week. But yeah, it's a biggie. And we do have to acknowledge that in 2 or 4 years, when we go to 12, we think we're going to 12. We don't think we're going to 16. We think we're stopping at 12. This game will have significance, but it will not be this. I mean, we do have to acknowledge that. For you and I think, we think it needs to be bigger than 4. We think 12's too many, but all right, whatever. But I mean, it'll be special. It'll have significance, playoff seeding, the whole deal. It's like the NFL. Hey, 2 teams in the same division, only one of them can win it, and get home playoff games, so to speak. There are significance to NFL regular season games. There will be significance to games like this going forward. Alabama, LSU, quite frankly, LSU probably needs a win to stay in the playoff. They lose, they're probably out going forward.
And as you said, it does become more NFL-like, but I really enjoyed Buffalo playing Kansas City in the regular season. I yearn for those special NFL Sundays because we've had a couple of weeks where the slate hasn't been that good. It always produces a good game or two. Nobody thought Atlanta and Carolina was going to be a barn burner of a football game, but it turned out to be a super entertaining game. So it doesn't mean they don't give you entertaining games, but we'd rather see the heavyweight battle.
It will be a little awkward. We'll have to get used to it as fans, where, say, 2 or 4 years from now, this scenario would present itself again. The winner gets a bye. Loser gets a home playoff game. I mean, it'll be a little awkward, a little strange. Hey, sorry for the loss. You will get a home playoff game. Your AD is thrilled right now.
And your alumni is pretty happy about it too.
Right. Your loss just made you guys about $8 million. And the city of Knoxville is thrilled. It's another week of hotel rooms.
See, just for those home playoff games, by the way, you can do whatever you want with the playoff. The fact that we're going to get games on campus and that somebody like Wisconsin's going to host a playoff game at some point is so damn intriguing to me that I'm fine with a few more teams. The starting 5 coming up next on Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water, the pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
got here? All right, Paul. Got the neighbor's boat out of my backyard. Holy blank.
What the?
What?
Just a story I see here that may.
May make the survey.
Yeah.
Juancho, I got to be honest. You got to get new neighbors. You got to have a talk with them. Lights on November 1st. Question: were they putting them up, or did they just leave, like, the string up on the, I don't know, one side of the house, and so all they had to do was plug them in? That's a decision, Juancho. Do you turn the lights off when you go to sleep, or do you leave them on all night?
I leave the Christmas lights on outside all night.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave the lights on, guy.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. About 40 minutes away from Lee Sterling as he makes his picks. Pat Kirwan a little more than an hour from now. Chris Landry 2 hours from now as we dig in a big way to the NFL and college football scene this weekend. But that's not where we start right now with
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
And that's Game 5 of the World Series. Houston won it 3-2 to take a 3-2 series lead. Justin Verlander, he was not dominant. He had to grind through his 5 innings. Gave up 4 hits, 4 walks. Kyle Schwarber led off the game by homering against him. But that's all he gave up was the 1 run in 5 innings, and he gets the win. Jeremy Pena, the hitting star for the Astros, 3 hits, including a homer and 2 RBIs. The homer put them up 2-1. They never trailed. Ryan Presley, their closer, had to come in and get a 5-out save. He came in the 8th with runners on the corners and 1 out and got out of it. And then got some help with a great defensive play in the 9th. 3-2 Astros. They go for their 2nd ever World Series championship. The first one was tainted in 2017. Can they win one Saturday night? Zach Wheeler, number 1 starter for the Phillies, going against the number 2 starter for the Astros, Framber Valdez. It's a rematch of Game 2, which the Astros won 5-2.
We probably should have had a little PSA to start this segment in the show and welcome all those that just finished watching the World Series to the program.
3 hours, 57 minutes. Game ended right at midnight, started at 8:03. Game had a lot of pace to it, really snappy.
Yeah, peppy.
Right. 24 strikeouts, 12 for each side. The Eagles went to Houston and won. That's some inspiration for the Phillies, right? In fact, Mark, I think the Eagles should have hung around. All right? They should stay in town for a day. Root the Phillies on. No?
I love the idea.
This isn't college. That's something they do in college. But it was a surprisingly decent game against the lowly Houston Texans. Eagles scored 7-0, 7-7. 14-7. Houston tied it up before the half. Eagles score first drive of the second half. Texans have a first down in the red zone. Settled for a field goal. And then over like the last 17 minutes, the Eagles said, okay, we'll take it from here. Thank you. 29-17 Philly, a win but not a cover. Mark, first stat of the day. You ready? NFL games in which the point spread is more than 7. There have been 28 of them this year. If you took the points, you're 18-10.
It's a good number right there.
So does that mean what? Titans, right? They're getting quite a few points against the Chiefs, right? The
Jets?
I don't know about that one, but you would take the Jets against the Bills. You take the Titans against the Chiefs. What else we got?
That's it.
Anything else above 7? No.
Oh, you take Carolina against the Bengals at 7.5.
Okay, it was 7 most of the week, so pay attention to that. So there you go. Taking the points, you're 18-10. Anything more than a 7 in the NFL so far this year. Eagles are 8-0. They've been playing football in Philadelphia for a very long time. The Eagles have never been 8-0 until now. You think about it. I mean, that's half a season for the last 30 years. And before that, it was more than half the season. I mean, how many franchises have started a season 8-0? But first time ever for the Eagles. Jeff Bezos is, quote, looking into buying, unquote, the Washington Commanders. Here's interesting, though, because obviously he doesn't need a partner. I mean, he's like, no, just tell me how much you're looking for. I can take care of that. And in fact, and I'll build the stadium too. Sure, fine, no problem. But apparently he wants to go into partnership with Jay-Z, which the NFL you would think would be thrilled about.
There's no doubt. Because for all the diversities that they're looking for, they have none in the ownership category.
Now, I don't know what the rule is. Can you, like, you know, he's Amazon and they broadcast their games. I mean, you know, Rupert Murdoch doesn't own an NFL team. Disney doesn't own an NFL team. Viacom doesn't own an NFL team. General Electric and whoever owns NBC now. I mean, if you know what I mean, like, can you have a broadcast partner who's an owner? I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't see it as a huge conflict of interest.
Didn't the Giants have their owners at one time were part of that, the CBS?
The Tisch family, I think, was a small part of CBS. I don't think they were the majority owners. They may have been. You know, and the Tisch family's always, in the last generation or so, they have split ownership with the Mara family 50-50. So they haven't technically been the majority owner. But yeah, that's true.
That's the only one that I looked at.
I mean, I don't think it'd be an issue with the NFL. But, I mean, if I'm Bezos, it'd be like, oh, so you need me to drop the games? Fine. Who wants to do Thursday Night Football? I'll even help subsidize it. What do you need? Who wants it? Turner? There's who out there? Michael Thomas is apparently done for the year, which is funny because he doesn't think he's done for the year. But his head coach, Dennis Allen, came out yesterday and said, yeah, he's going to have toe surgery. I think he's done. And, of course, Thomas is being criticized because it's like, wait a minute, toe surgery? You're out for the year? I mean, Brian Robinson of the Commanders was shot. He missed 4 games. I mean, toe surgery? But turf toes ended careers, ended Jack Lambert's career, basically ended Dion's career. All right, turf toes, and if you're a wide receiver, running back, DB, you can't do a thing with it. I'm just saying. Mark, for you and I, this was a name. Ray Guy.
Yes, it was.
First ever punter that put the position on the map. And Felipe, it's tough to understand, but when he hit the dome in the Superdome, when he hit that scoreboard, which is about 100 feet up off the ground, when he hit that scoreboard with a punt, I believe on Monday Night Football too, and we were all watching, that was, oh my goodness, Ray Guy, first ever punter. I think he's still the only punter, right?
True punter, right.
Right. First ever punter in the Hall of Fame. He was a first-round pick from Al Davis at a Southern Miss in the early 70s. Think about that. Ray Guy went earlier in the draft than Brett Favre did.
Think about Al drafting a punter in the first round, drafting a kicker in the first round. Al did his own thing, man.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Most of it well. So Ray Guy passed away after a long illness yesterday at the age of 72. College football, Rice scored a touchdown with less than 30 seconds to go. They beat UTEP 37-30. Coastal Carolina lost a bunch off last year's team. They came right back. They're 7-1. They beat App State 35-28 to win their side of the Sun Belt. There are 3 college football games tonight, Mark. I don't know if any of these will tickle your fancy. One of them involving a ranked team. We got Pac-12 after dark, 10 or so. I think it's on FS1, though. Oregon State, Washington, with Oregon State, the ranked team. Hello. UMass, UConn, Duke, BC. So Kyrie Irving and the Nets had a presser yesterday.
Oh, my goodness.
And he didn't apologize.
No, he didn't.
The Anti-Defamation League was so offended by Kyrie Irving's press conference that they said, yeah, we won't take your $500,000 contribution. It would be disingenuous on our part. And so apparently the press conference went so badly that Adam Silver released a statement basically saying, what the heck? And the Nets said, you know what? We can't have you be part of the team. We gave you every opportunity. We took grief for 3-4 days, and we set it up for you to apologize, and you didn't apologize. So as far as we're concerned, you hate Jews, and you can't play for us for a while. Well, about midnight last night, Kyrie Irving issued an apology.
Very heartfelt.
Right. Considering he had like 3 opportunities beforehand. And it was only after he got suspended that he said, oh, man, I'm sorry.
And got indignant with the media 75 different times over them asking pretty simple questions.
Right. By the way, you know who's happy about Kyrie Irving? Miles Bridges. Remember that domestic violence incident? Yeah, he pled no contest to it yesterday. Gets 3 years probation. Seriously? Seriously. Seriously. You can beat up the mother of your child and you don't even go to jail?
In front of the children.
Come on. And the prosecutors agreed to this plea bargain? What the heck? James Harden's out a month with a right foot injury. Imagine that. James Harden getting older, slowing down, getting hurt a lot. Great game in Orlando last night. Magic came from behind in the fourth quarter, beat the Warriors, who are 3-6, by the way. Orlando, 130-129. Steph and Clay combined to hit 15 threes, and they lost. That's happened 4 times in their careers together. Orlando at 7 in double figures. Jokic a triple-double, Denver over OKC by 12. There were 13 hockey games last night. How many you want to hear about? The Lightning lost in a shootout. Vasilevsky was the first star of the game in a losing effort because he had 52 saves. They had a 3-2 lead in the third, however, and gave up a shorty with 6 minutes to go to tie it before losing in a shootout. Meanwhile, Florida wins by the same score in a shootout, 4-3 over San Jose. Carter Verhaeghe got the tying goal with a little over a minute to go before winning in a shootout. Good thing he scored. Panthers blew a 2-0 third period lead. That would have been tough. Ovechkin scored his 786th goal, and he tied Gordie Howe mark for scoring the most goals with one franchise. Wings beat the Caps, however, 3-1. Boston beat the Rangers 5-2. They're 10-1. They scored 4 in the third. 10-1. Sets Devils won their 5th straight, despite McDavid having a goal and assist. 4-3 New Jersey.
That was a late goal to win that one, too. After tying it late, then they won it basically on the ensuing faceoff.
Don't look now, but the Seattle Kraken are a good, exciting hockey team in year 2. They won their 3rd straight. They beat Minnesota 4-0. And Ryan Reynolds is interested in purchasing the Ottawa Senators.
Only if he can keep them in Ottawa.
Correct. Which, of course, is making him more of a local legend. So, but Ryan Reynolds interested in keeping the Senators in Ottawa. And what else we got here? Oh, yeah. Tiger Woods is going to play golf again in about 5 weeks in the match. You know, the made-for-TV stuff. It'll be Tiger and Rory. Boy, he knows how to pick his partners. Hey, who's the number 1 player of the world? Well, it's Rory. Call him and tell him I want to see him on the west coast of Florida in 5 weeks. They're playing at the Pelican Golf Club, which, you know, how many of those do we have in the state? Pelican Golf Club.
Not like that one.
No, it's in Bel Air, which is Pinellas County in between Clearwater and Largo. And they're going to be taking on Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. There you go. It's I believe I've got this date right. It's a Saturday night. It's Army-Navy night, Saturday, December 10th, 7 o'clock. They're going to have to do it with the lights because, you know, it's going to be dark. But that's interesting on a Saturday night. They usually have this sucker on like a Tuesday. So, that's pretty much it. That was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go. World Series, NFL, Kyrie in the NBA, 13 hockey games, Tiger. Not a bad little day and night.
We'll get things rolling on Miller and Moulton with a great show. The 8 o'clock hour featuring Pat Kirwan and Chris Landry. Lee Sterling to make his picks in about 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Yeah. Hi.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Clarko, that's not true. He was a finalist like 7 times. Actually, when he finally went in, people were a little surprised. But it is interesting if you look at his stats, nowadays they're not that good. And yet at the time, obviously, we're all like, oh my goodness, this is a great punter. Mark, is there anything going on with the text line?
Not that I can see.
Okay, because we have one listener who says for whatever reason he's.
If you are Brisby, I'll check into it, but I don't know what to tell you.
Right. And RCB
21,000 and FSN radio.
All one word, no spacing. RCB, the one thing I will say about, the prosecutors with Deshaun Watson have twice gone to a grand jury and were unable to get, indictments both times. So, at least they were trying. But you beat up a woman in front of the kids. You don't do any jail time? Come on. You can't do the Dante Stallworth 28 days, 24 days, whatever. Come on. Seriously? It's not like he's playing basketball. It's not like anybody's going to touch him. He could do a month. No, Paul, I understand. I don't know, though, Paul. I don't think it made the prosecutors look good not getting an indictment. That's weird, Brisby.
Because I've got a lot of text this morning, or in the last 24 hours, I should say.
And we shouldn't know what happens in those grand juries. By the way, Lee's game of the week is Clemson Notre Dame, ladies and gentlemen.
15 seconds.
You want to go through the NFL games here?
Yeah.
See how easy we are, ladies and gentlemen.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Football Friday.
Football Friday.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope you've had a good week. Thanks for ending it with us in some way, shape, and form. Pat Kirwan, 1 hour from now. Lee Sterling makes his picks in 20 minutes. Chris Landry, a little over 90 minutes away. We will get at least waist deep. I don't know if we'll get neck deep, but we'll get at least waist deep. Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Alabama, and some of the other big college games going on this weekend. All right. We said it last week when they went to Detroit. It's not going to be easy. It's a road game. You know, it's the NFL. Anybody can beat anybody, but you got to go there. You got to get the job done. You got to get on the plane home. It wasn't easy. They came from behind. They got on the plane with a W. Well, same deal this week, Mark. They're going to Chicago to face the Bears. Point spread's about the same. They were 3.5-point favorite against the Lions. They're like a 5-point favorite against the Bears. Same type of game, baby. Not going to be easy. Fields can be a handful. It's on the road. Bada bing, bada boom. But got to get the W, baby.
And a little differently because the Bears actually, even though they've traded away a couple defensive players, they actually play a little bit of team defense, unlike the team they played last week.
Well, and that's the other thing. They gave up 49 last week to the Cowboys. They got embarrassed.
I know.
And that's the thing. Which Bears team we going to get? We're going to get the one that ran for 250 and embarrassed the Patriots on Monday Night Football. We're going to get the team that got embarrassed by Dallas. Haven't been home in a while. They actually got Justin Fields. He's got 2 wide receivers for the first time in his career. I mean, Dolphins have a banged-up secondary. Just saying.
And Miami's been really good, against teams that run the ball. Last 3 games, they've allowed less than 100 yards. So I obviously like Miami in this game. We're not that high on the Bears. They've been playing a little bit better. Showed a little bit of a punch last week, but I'll take Miami at home.
The one thing I will say, the Bears are starting to score some points. I mean, take a look at the New England game. What'd they score, like 29? What'd they score last week in losing? 29. I mean, if you're a Dolphin fan right now, and I tell you that the Bears are going to score between 27 and 30 points, how concerned are you about this game? That's all I'm saying. That, their offense doesn't look great. I mean, Fields doesn't always, he throws a few passes in which you go, oh, wow. Ooh. And he's running around a lot. They don't have anybody that really scares you. Although Mooney's not bad.
Mooney's not bad. I don't know how much Claypool will be in the lineup this week.
I think it'll be one of those like when we were playing, Nerf football in the parking lot that Fields can just look at him, call out the play, and look at him and go down and in. Run a post. How about a comeback? You think that's how it goes?
Yes, actually. Something similar to that. Going to be a lot of it's the dig.
Right. Don't worry. I won't put you in motion all game. I'll have the other guy go in motion to find out what the coverages are. You just line up. There you go. That's it. You line up there all game.
Line up and run slants the whole game. That's all I'm looking for out of you right now.
Right. Go
if I
past
roll my eyes, run it, go.
Right.
I need 2 goes and a bunch of slants.
2 yards past the sticks and cut it toward the middle of the field. Okay. Good. on 3. So there you go. It's time, Dolphins. This is when you become a mature team. What do good teams do? They win the games they're supposed to win. I'd say it's going to be easy, pretty style points. That's garbage. It's the National Football League. Get your W, get on the plane. That's the Dolphins this weekend. Meanwhile, is the loser out between the Rams and the Bucs?
No, because Tampa can lose and still win the division, David. They can, and you know this.
Really?
Yes.
No. Okay.
Really?
Well, it'd be 4 losses in a row, first off. They'd be 3-6. Mark, even to get to 8-9, they would then have to go 5-2. I know what you're saying. It's a bad division. We don't think that the winner now in the division is even going to get to 9. But I'm wondering if they lose this game at home to the Rams, will they even get to 8? And it's asking a lot to win a division at 7-10.
It's asking a ton. I think the not best thing going for them, but what they have to get is they have to get back to playing defense.
Yes.
This is not about Tom Brady and the offense. This is about missed tackles, missed assignments, and bad defensive play. And the Los Angeles Rams have a terrible, and I mean downright terrible offensive line right now.
And because of it, they don't have a good offense. They have one weapon, Cooper Kupp, and he's not 100%. And that's on Sean McVay, idiot. You could be a Super Bowl winning coach and still do something just dumb. Down 17 with under 2 minutes to go. You got Cooper Kupp on the field. And what happens? He gets hurt. Idiot. Even he said so afterwards. What was I thinking? You weren't. You know what you do when you're down 17 with a minute and a half to go in the game? You run the ball on the line twice. You go home. You take your L. That's what you do. Stop it. Game's over. You lost.
Right. And now down 14?
Different story.
Different story. We've
17?
seen the NFL do crazy things. 3 scores in a minute and a half or whatever
Come
it was.
on.
It's not going to happen.
No, it's over. You lost. Gave it your best shot. You lost. Let's get out of here with nobody else getting hurt. Come on now. So, a couple of 3-win teams who last year they both won 12. So, Rams and Bucs. I do think I'm willing to say the loser's done. Even the Bucs.
I'm not.
Okay.
Yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can't believe I'm saying this. On the confidence scale of 1 to 10, how much confidence that we have that Green Bay is going to go into Detroit and get a W? They've lost 4 in a row, right?
Look at. I have sympathy for the Detroit Lions and their fans. I've picked them a couple of times when I probably shouldn't have. But out of their last 3, they lost to Dallas, they lost to Miami, and now they've got Green Bay. This is the easiest game of the 3.
Right. Now, Green Bay didn't get better at the trade deadline. You could argue Detroit got worse with no Hawkinson. But, I'm curious, the Packers fans that are out there, how worried are you?
They are so incredibly worried, and here is why, David. You know where I am in Southwest Florida. There are a multitude of Green Bay Packer fans.
Yes. All along the West Coast.
Haven't seen any of them. They're not wearing their garb. They're not flying flags out of their car. They're not sticking the flags in their front yard. They're a proud bunch that's been reduced to rubble. They have no confidence.
I know it's Aaron Rodgers against a team in the NFC North, so, bringing it up is kind of foolish. I know in theory it doesn't look good for me to be going down the storyline that I'm going down, but they're only a 3.5 point favorite. This is a team that's on the clock right now. Just to say that out loud. The Green Bay Packers, with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, are a field goal favorite against the worst team in the league right now, according to record. I mean, this is a damn near a toss-up game. Just because I will say this. You lose to Detroit, you're done. You're done.
No, you're done. Done. No doubt.
So I just am wondering how many people actually think, I actually think they may lose. And I think that a game on the slate should be canceled. I think that this is unfair to both fan bases, and it's unfair to some of us who actually bet on the NFL. Because, Las Vegas is playing Jacksonville, and that's just not right.
Well, not only is it not right, it is the ultimate disrespect card being played to the Jags right now.
Whoo!
Vegas was shut out last week. They looked miserable the week before. And yet they're a 1.5 favorite taking on the Jags. That's how little Las Vegas, and I don't mean the Raiders, I mean the gambling houses, think of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I made a deal last week with myself. I was no longer going to bet on bad teams to win. Well, then who am I supposed to pick here? You know how that you can bet on a tie? All right, you get certain odds to bet on a tie. I think I might throw $5 down on a tie. And this is just dirty. It's not fair. It's not right. I have to pick a winner between Las Vegas and Jacksonville. Do you know how many times I've lost on these two teams this year? Unbelievable. It's not fair. It's not right. Can't justify either bet. Can't do it. Cancel the damn game. Give them both a tie. How about a forfeit?
Sometimes you've got to support the home team, David. Sometimes you've got to support the home team.
I want to support the home team. They lost 5 in a row. Trevor Lawrence keeps driving it down to the 5-yard line, throwing it to the other team. How can you bet on the Jags? How can you bet on the Raiders?
How can you bet on the Raiders?
Right. It's unfair is what this is. This is not right. This game should be canceled. It's kind of like UMass UConn tonight. There's really no reason to play this game. Nobody in that part of the country cares about college football. Okay? And no NFL fan should have to be subjected to Las Vegas and Jacksonville. It's just not right. Why couldn't we have sent that one to London, huh?
They've had it enough, David.
Yeah, they really have.
At some point, you've got to give them a break and give them a game. Miller and Moulton. Lee Sterling will join us next to make his picks right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on Fifth Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You know, David, even there's irony on Twitter. I do follow the Pope on Twitter, and I follow this site called Albumism that just puts different things out on record albums, obviously. Literally, the tweets at the same time as the happy 35th anniversary to Sinead O'Connor's debut album, followed by a tweet by the Pope. You just can't make shit up.
I'm glad albumism is about music as opposed to Mitch Albom. But, you know.
Yeah, well, would have been a good Twitter handle for him.
That's true, DC. If I hit on the tie, that's got to be worth like 20. Put me above 500. By the way, there are reports that Nebraska is going to promote the interim head coach. I don't know if I believe it. Would be the first black head coach in not Nebraska football history, I think Nebraska athletic history.
I believe you're right. And that surprises us. Why?
Well, there's a lot of teams. There's like 20 plus.
Right.
I like to think that by 2022.
At Nebraska?
I'm surprised they didn't make Tommy Frazier a head coach of whatever sport he wanted just because. I thought Turner Gill was going to get that job once upon a time.
I didn't pick the FSU Miami game because we don't have really a line right now because of the quarterback situation, but he's got it at 7.5.
Yeah, I saw it last night at 7.5.
Did you? I don't have on mine. It didn't have a line.
I'm going with 7.5. I'm picking it.
I would have picked Florida State.
Well, that's where I'm going. I'm just curious, honestly, from a betting standpoint, how much is Tyler Van Dyke worth?
See that any of that game against Virginia?
Well, it was going on while we were working, but
I almost texted you because I know you're getting ready for the game, and
I'm following it. I got it on my phone.
I know you are, and I know you're getting ready. And I usually leave you alone on Saturdays, but when it's 6-3 late, I'm just.
And they got first and goal at the 3. I couldn't believe when they didn't score a touchdown.
And I'm sorry, it's where you run the ball 3 straight times in a row. You look at if I'm the quarterback, I look at the offensive line and I grit my teeth and said, it's time to knock those mother out. We're going to score.
And they got down there with like a minute 27 to go. They had time.
Where the hell's Lee?
$30 seconds.
There he is. Scaring me, Lee.
They're cutting it a little. Oh, that's right.
Morning.
You're on the road.
Here we go.
Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour, and on a football Friday, that means Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports, ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. Lee had a great week last week. There's no two ways about it. On the free picks on our show, he went 4-0-1, and the only reason he had the one is because, well, the Canes just can't get out of their own damn way. He got his game of the week right, which was the Cowboys laying the 9. And he got his NFL play of the year right, which was the Patriots laying 2.5 against the Jets, and they won by 5. So that hotel room that you're in right now, that should be in like a Ritz-Carlton. That should be like, $500 a night, my friend.
Where's
How are
the
you?
butler serving you coffee right now?
Yeah.
I'm in a Hyatt, so
Why are you not in a robe wearing the hotel slippers after last week, my friend?
So the joke in my family is I do wear robes actually a lot. I like walking around in morning robes. And one year I had a run, and so one of my friends got a hold of my robe through my wife and put on the front of it the king with a crown. So it's a nickname when I'm doing well. When I'm not doing so well, they have some other not so nice names for me.
It's getting to be robe weather in Florida. This morning was cool enough where you actually might be able to put one on. Some are trying to leave. This is a great weekend of football, Lee. There's no two ways about it. I want to get to the games because we want to hear your thoughts. Let's start with the biggest one on the slate, Georgia and Tennessee. Georgia is an 8-point favorite against the Vols.
So it's a one-game series. This isn't best out of 5, best out of 7. I think the public is going to bet Tennessee here. If it was best out of 3, best out of 5 on a neutral site, I might go with Tennessee, but I think because they're going to face a different type of offense, Tennessee's defense, an offense that a little bit stronger up front, 3 tight ends that they play, 3 tight ends will be playing at the next level. I think Tennessee's defense, which is ranked 82nd, the weakest link, usually fails. And when you win a national title, it's tough getting up every week. I mean, you're sitting there with a ring on your finger. Everyone tells you how great you are. I know Tennessee's hungry and the offense is great. Everyone wants to see the matchup. Georgia's great defense against Tennessee's offense, but I like Georgia here. I think they won by 2 touchdowns, 42-28.
The Gators will play early tomorrow in College Station against A&M. Both teams struggling. Both teams just fighting to get to a bowl. A&M, remarkably, is a 3-point favorite because they're kind of like Miami. I don't know if they deserve to be favored against anybody, but Aggies -3.
So look at who the Aggies have played. Like Alabama, someone that, absolutely does everything well on offense. Ole Miss that runs, Mississippi State that throws the football. What does Florida's offense do really well? Nothing. I think A&M found their quarterback. Now, I think I had to defense him. I think what you do is you rush him up the middle. He can run north and south. He can't run laterally and throw the football right now. But I think the kid's going to be pretty darn good. And I think A&M's going to run on Florida. They're the more sound team. A lot of really good players. and at certain points of the game last week, they were coming on. So Jimbo Fisher's play calling the second half wasn't good, but I like A&M here. I think A&M lays it on Florida. I think they win this game here, something like 35-21.
Well, usually when we talk about big games, and it's this week, this would be the first thing we'd want to talk about. This is a big game in name only, but it matters greatly to both schools. Miami trying to get to a bowl game. Florida State trying to put together a really nice season. They're a 7.5-point favorite. Wish the Canes had their quarterback for this one. They don't. How do you see it?
So I wish the game, it was 5 minutes before the game we knew who the quarterback was. If Tyler Van Dyke plays, I think Miami might have a chance. It's a rivalry game. I think they'll play over their head. They have not covered against a Division I team. But we don't know. You know, they said they're preparing 3 quarterbacks. I'm going to go because we have to pick a side on the premise Tyler Van Dyke plays. For that reason, I think Miami comes to play. And finally, they haven't played. They played one decent half against Southern Mississippi. I'm going to say Florida State wins 27-23. Miami finally covers a game.
Let's go to Sunday.
Yeah.
Bucks and Rams. This was 2 of the 5 best teams in the league last year, and now they're both below 500. Tampa Bay is a 3-point favorite at home.
It's like when you choose sides and there's the last 2 left. You're like, yeah, am I right?
Close.
It's crazy. They are that bad. I just think the Rams are worse. Their offensive line is horrific. Their number 2 and 3 receivers, half the teams in the NFL, I don't know if they make the roster. Running backs, worse than the Bucs here. I know the Bucs are just crippled with injuries in the secondary, linebacker, but I think they have more depth here. They're playing at home. I'll take Tampa Bay here, 27-20.
And another big game for the Miami Dolphins in the respect that they got to go on the road and beat a team that they're supposed to beat. This would be 3 games in a row they beat Pittsburgh at home. Ugly, but they did it. They beat Detroit coming from behind. Now Chicago. Can the Dolphins do something that they don't normally do? Win the games that they're supposed to win. It's the difference between an average team and a good team, and I think we'll find out right now a little bit more about Miami, Lee.
My nephew's 8 years old and just starting to getting into football, loves it. He sent me a text last night, like at 9 o'clock. He says, I can't sleep. I'm so excited for Sunday. That's the way the Dolphins fans are. I mean, they are ready to go. They're making their run now. Great acquisition, getting Chubb. They even strengthened the running back position, getting Wilson from San Francisco. And I think that's all fans want. They want hope. And the Dolphins are giving their fans that now. This is a tough game. I'm going to change my decision here. I'm going to go with the total. I'm going to go with the under here. I think both defenses are going to come to play. The weather actually is going to be good. It's going to be low 60s, not windy. I think the public is going to bet the over here. I think you're going to see both defenses play at the highest level. I think might see like a 23-20 game. I don't know who's going to win it, or 23-17. So let's go with under 46.5 total points.
All right. Dolphins, Bears, over, under. Lee goes under 46.5. Game of the week. Another marquee game for your game of the week. I love when you do this. Clemson, Notre Dame. Right now, Tigers 3.5-point favorite on the road. How do they get it?
They want to get it, just call 800-400-9741. We'll give it to them for free. I'm also going to text you that, and also I have my college game of the year.
Oh, look at you.
Back-to-back weeks. When you're hot, you fire away. So we're going to look for the sweep on our 40 to 50 unit plays, documented 54-18 the last 12 plus years. So anyone wants to come on board, we don't call it November. 4 weeks through the end of the month, 297. Check this out. Through the Super Bowl, 597. College football regular season. We're not even at the halfway point in the NFL. You get through this regular season, playoffs, Super Bowl, and all the college bowls. I think there's 36, 37, 597, ParamountSports.com.
What's a better month, Locktober or Domember? Which is it?
How about double down December?
I love it. Lee, great job with your NFL game of the year last week. Looking forward to seeing that college game of the year this week. Best of luck to you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. He's laying the points with Georgia, with A&M, with the Tampa Bay Bucks. He's taken the points with the Canes. I'm surprised at that. He's going under in the Dolphins-Bears game, and his game of the week is Clemson-Notre Dame, and he has his NFL play of the or college play of the year this week. So there you go. Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary Bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins party every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I gotta say hi to David. Hey, David.
David.
Hey, Raj.
How you doing? We miss you around here, buddy.
Yes, I have so many fans. Yes, especially in that building, Raj.
So many fans in that building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the morning you do. Don't kid yourself.
I'm the biggest. Early.
Yeah, Adam, I was almost going to bust Lee's chops about that haircut.
Yeah, that was Moulton-esque there, that one cut. Oof, that somebody just went to town on him. You would think after the week he had last week, that's the type of haircut you get when you lose a bet. Hops, that's outstanding. That is really good.
What are you still in India, Dandy? What's 100 rupees? Maddie disagrees with you, Klecko. I'm just telling you right now.
I will say, I loved the point spreads a week ago today. You could get Tennessee at damn near 12 a week ago today, 11.5. Phil Mushnick's column in the New York Post today. Headline, go to hell, Kyrie.
Yeah, so I saw the headline. I didn't read the article.
God, I love that paper. Back page of the New York Post this morning. What took you so long?
I gotta play, like clutch play.
Yeah, we'll do it in the 9 o'clock hour.
Okay, gotcha. Because we have who are you doing
We do our
your
picks
picks?
now.
Yeah, your picks, yeah.
I'm assuming it's a great catch in the World Series.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is. The biggest play of his life.
Mm-hmm. Biggest game of his life.
Yeah. All right, 10 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, and that's when Pat Kirwan will join us for the second of his weekly appearances, in which we'll go through the games. We'll also get his thoughts about what seemingly is the end of the Daniel Snyder era in Washington. Lee Sterling made his picks last segment. His picks will be posted, floridasportsnetwork.com. If you missed him, he's laying the points with Georgia, with Texas A&M. He's taking the points with the Canes. They have not covered a game against a Division 1A team this year, and he's taking the points with them because he thinks Van Dyke's going to play. He's laying the points with Brady and the Bucks. He's betting the under in the Dolphins-Bears game. He said most everyone will bet the over. I'm going under. And his game of the week, by the way, is Clemson-Notre Dame. There you have it. You ready?
I'm ready. What do I have to be ready for? I mean, I just read copy.
Well, I understand. You have to present your daughter's picks. You're like the person who gives the 5-minute speech to try to get someone into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's what you are.
And she's high on the North Carolina quarterback. You know, no one's paid any attention to the Tar Heels, and this guy's might be one of the best players in the country. He's throwing for like 6 million yards a game. And they're playing Virginia.
Okay.
Virginia.
Right.
That's a bad football team.
It is.
She says, take the Tar Heels and lay the 7.
That is a small line, smaller than you'd expect.
North Carolina's defense is terrible, but their offense is actually really good. Then she's going right at Lee. She likes Rocky Top, not necessarily to win, but she said, Dad, it's more than a touchdown. I see this as a touchdown game. Give me the 8 and the Vols. This one I wasn't sure about because last year it was a close game in Alabama. Now they're at LSU. It's a much bigger number, and she's saying roll Tide. Thinks Alabama will run it down LSU's throat, and that LSU will make costly turnovers, and that Alabama will cover the big number 13.5. She's a believer in Brady and the Bucks. Still says they make the playoffs, and is dissing Matt Stafford, saying he can't throw to anybody else but Cooper Kupp. Not sure how healthy he is for this game. Taking the Bucks, laying the 3.
Does she know how her mother feels about Tom Brady?
Probably not.
Okay.
We don't get into mom's feelings when we do picks. This is business, not personal.
Gotcha. It's just business, huh? For the 8-year-old? Okay. Good to know.
I mean, look, she asked me for a number this week. She goes, can you call your guy and get me a number? I'm sick of going through your phone for this.
That's just awesome.
And finally, a rookie quarterback finally beat New England, but it's not going to happen with another guy that started just, 2 games. This will be a second start. The Patriots are laying 5 against Indy. We've completely jumped off the Colts bandwagon. Give me the Patriots laying the 5 against the Colts.
Well, I'm glad she finally got you off the Colts bandwagon. I tried for 3 years. You didn't listen to me. So at least you're listening to your daughter. That's good.
She picks more winners than you do.
Yeah, well, that's true. This year, anyway. This year. So, all right. Well, I got to admit, there's one game that I agree with her on. By the way, I'm going with 7. Come on. I'm 12 games below 500. How am I going to catch up going with 5? I mean, come on. We agree on Tennessee and the points against Georgia. We're both going head-to-head with Lee. I like the 8th point a lot, if you know what I mean. I would have loved it at 8.5, but I love the 8th point a lot. So I'm taking the points, and I'm also taking the points with LSU. So I'm going head-to-head with your daughter there. I liked when the lines came out. Granted, they were bigger last week at this time, but I liked when the lines came out. I took a look at both, and I said, I'm taking the points. And the two big SEC showdowns, I want the Vols and the points, and I want the Tigers and the points. So I'm getting 13.5 at home. The LSU offense is rolling, and I think they'll score enough points to cover. And they got a real shot to win, in my opinion. How come Purdue's only a 3.5 point favorite at home against Iowa? Can somebody explain that to me? That seems low. It's kind of like the Maddie's North Carolina, Virginia bet there, which scares me when you think Vegas is off by at least a field goal on a line. But how come Purdue's only a 3.5 point favorite at home against Iowa? I mean, even against Iowa's defense, I think Purdue's going to score 20, maybe even 24. And if we left Iowa alone on the field, we don't know if they could score 20 points. So give me Purdue. Also, and this one doesn't analytically make sense, Minnesota's a really good running team. They have one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the Big Ten. Nebraska is last at defending the run. And Nebraska has an injured starting quarterback. Okay, Purdy might have to play his first ever start in relief. But Minnesota's a 16-point favorite at Nebraska. 16. And these guys are trying to get this interim coach the job full time. They are playing hard. I'm bucking what I said last week. I'm not going to bet on bad teams. The points are just a 2-3 too many for me to walk away from. I'm taking the 16.
To review, on Monday of this week.
Correct.
Not of previous Mondays.
No.
Monday.
4 days ago.
After, what did you go last week?
3-4.
3-4.
My third best week of the year.
And those 4 losses were all betting what?
Bad teams.
And you made a declaration on this show on Monday.
4 days ago.
Of this week.
Mm-hmm.
On Halloween Monday.
Mark,
I'm
it was
not betting bad teams anymore. And you're betting on Nebraska.
But I am getting 16. And besides, that was last month. And I'm laying the points with Florida State. I don't think Van Dyke's going to play. And even if so, as we saw last week, don't know how effective the Miami offense is. And the road team usually covers in this rivalry, number one. And number two, Miami hasn't covered a Division 1A game this year. Now, it's probably my luck, okay, that betting them so many times this year, I'm going to bet against them and I'll lose. But I'm laying the points 7.5 with Florida State. And you can either say that I'm betting on 2 good teams that have been masked as bad teams, or I'm making my fatal flaw mistake 2 more times. But Mark, this is it for these 2 teams. I'm taking the Bays. I'm taking Tampa Bay, laying 3 at home against the Rams. And if Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay can't cover 3.5 against the Lions, well, you know what? He may retire before Thanksgiving. So I'm taking the 2 Bays. So I got 5 college games, taking points with LSU, Tennessee, and Nebraska, laying points with Florida State and Purdue. And then I'm taking the 2 bays, Tampa and Green, laying about a field goal in both. So there. That's my Super 7. I'm on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. I went 3-4 last week. That is on fire for me. On fire, I tell you.
Oh,
Come on, I went 5-1 the week before. I mean, you put them together, I can say, hey, I'm 9-5 the last 2
no,
weeks.
I don't care about that. It doesn't matter to me what your record is. What I love is that you made a declaration on the show. I mean, it wasn't prompted by anybody. I didn't ask you to do it. Felipe didn't ask you to do it. The listeners didn't ask you to do it. You just said, I'm figuring something out here. I have got to quit betting on bad football teams.
Right.
To review, Nebraska, Tampa Bay, and Green Bay.
Well, you were the one that told me just a couple segments ago that these were not bad NFL teams. They're just in a rut. They're in a bad spot. I mean, I've asked you, my $20, Tampa Bay going to make the playoffs, yes or no?
Yes.
Green Bay, $20, they're going to make the playoffs, yes or no? Now, see, I say no. Okay, but, come on now. I'm betting against the Detroit Lions. You're going to tell me that's a bad bet. They're on the clock right now. You're telling me betting against the Detroit Lions is a bad bet?
No.
Okay.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying betting on the Green Bay Packers right now is not necessarily a good move. That's all I'm saying.
And besides, I made that declaration last month. It was Monday. It was technically still October. I've already gone from Halloween decorations to Christmas decorations, Mark. The Christmas music is out, for goodness sakes.
I know.
Mariah Carey put on her, Christmas outfit again and, posed for a picture again. It's Christmas season already. Once again, the hell with Thanksgiving doesn't count anymore.
Gets completely stepped on and walked over, David.
Totally. Unbelievable. You know who needs a marketing campaign? Turkeys. They are being overlooked and neglected. Talk about underrated. Turkeys.
That's an interesting point right there, because they might be rated just right. We only are supposed to eat them twice a year. You got a Christmas turkey and a Thanksgiving turkey, and you don't even sometimes you have a Christmas ham.
I actually thought you were talking about Thanksgiving and the day after, but okay.
No, you may be right there. I mean, are they that underrated if we're only having it really once a year? Or are they rated just right?
I mean, do we hate our relatives so much, all right, that we're taking it out on turkeys this badly? I mean, because, come on, you can't hate the food involved with Thanksgiving. It's your family that apparently is having you go straight from Halloween to Christmas.
And I'm fired up. We have people coming for Thanksgiving that have never come to my house for Thanksgiving, that I've probably not had a Thanksgiving with one of my cousins since we were children. So I'm fired up for Thanksgiving. Lots of family coming.
I mean, how do we overlook turducken? It's awesome. Awesome, I say.
I'm waiting for you to go right into a Madden there. I had to step back for a second. You got the turkey and you got the...
You see, you put it in the pot, and you boil it, and it comes out, and it looks like this, and it's amazing. And there's Nate Newton. Nate, what do you say?
How about a chicken leg?
Thanksgiving is the greatest holiday ever.
It's not one that should be just completely manhandled the way it has become. Honestly.
I mean, I think we can all agree that we all love food on this show. So,
yes.
With that said, this should be like the Miller and Moulton holiday.
You know who I blame? I blame Amazon. I do. It's another reason not to watch Thursday Night Football.
So you wouldn't sell the team to them because of Thanksgiving?
Well, I wouldn't sell the team to him. No, I'd sell the Daniel Snyder's the current owner. Hell, I'd sell the team to, there's only about 12 guys I wouldn't sell the team to over Daniel Snyder. But in all seriousness, I mean, the reason Thanksgiving is being dissed the way it's now dissed is it's all marketing. It's all, we got to get straight to Christmas. I got to sell crap. No, actually, no. We need to take 3 weeks here, okay? We need to prepare for a big meal. Spend a little time with family. Besides, most people have done. Mark, how much Christmas shopping has your wife already done?
Some. I wouldn't say a lot. I would say some.
Okay. Normal year, because I got to tell you also, my wife usually is done by now, and she hasn't bought a thing yet. Not one thing. That's the kind of year we've had. All right. But, I mean, ask yourself this. I mean, the reason we're totally dismissing Thanksgiving is because the businesses, the Fortune 500 companies said we got to sell, sell, sell. Well, how many people in your life have basically done 80% of Christmas already? And it's in the garage or it's in the bottom of the closet in your bedroom and you got no place for your shoes for a couple months. So can we enjoy the damn turkey, please? Little stuffing, little potatoes, little gravy. Really? We have to buy a flat screen TV that badly? To watch what? Thursday night football? Stop it. Let's have a turkey.
With some stuffing and mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Extra gravy. Let's see how many carbs we can get down right now.
Shopping or gravy? Which would you rather have? If you had to give up one, which would you give up?
I think we'd all give up shopping.
Right.
Miller and Moulton.
You don't have to talk to your family.
Brought to you by Thanksgiving. The third Thursday in November. Say hello to a friend.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
You had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Gotta
Nice
guess right here.
reference there. You know, Rex Ryan with the
Pat.
speech to the Jets. Let's go have a snack.
Does he call him?
No. He comes on the computer.
Also,
You don't have to do a thing today. All three guests come on the computer. Well, Chi-Town Valentine's Day doesn't. I mean, what are we going to argue? Easter versus Thanksgiving? I don't think Easter needs an ad campaign.
No, they got a bunny.
They got a bunny, and they got God. So, no, I think they're covered. July 4th or Thanksgiving? We like to blow, pardon my French, we like to blow shit up in this country. Besides, the mattress sales alone take care of July 4th.
did you know that the entity in the world with the second most explosives is Disney World?
I'll tell you what. I'm curious if Disney's going to have to make an adjustment because their prices are out of control. And I'm wondering if people can afford to keep going there.
Be quite frank, I don't really like Disney World, so.
Well, you don't have kids.
Right, but like
Disney World's not for you yet.
like
Oh,
I don't know. I wouldn't want to take my kids to Disney World.
all right.
Well,
Call me a bad father, I guess.
no, Felipe, I hate to break it to you, but it's not going to be your decision.
There's so many better places than Disney World.
I don't disagree, especially for the price.
Come on, Lee, or come on, Pat.
$40 seconds.
All right. You may have to call Pat.
All right.
Nope, he's on.
Thanks for your help yesterday, Mark. Thank you, guys.
Oh, no problem at all. Nice to finally meet your wife.
She was running a ladies' meeting, and all of a sudden she said she was done. I go, Mark's downstairs right now.
You got 10 seconds.
10 seconds. I still didn't get coffee. Oh, that's right. I already had it.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it is the 8 o'clock hour on a football Friday with no World Series tonight. It's a travel day. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan joins us at this time every Friday. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. And he also does that Moving the Chains thing 2 to 5 on Saturday. So if you're driving around tomorrow, you can get a little load of Pat as well. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, and battered and bruised at over a dozen locations in between. But Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Good morning, Pat. How are you?
Good morning, fellas. And, You know what I love about Fridays? Thursday night football's over.
And that wasn't a bad game last night, Pat. I mean, as far as Thursday nights goes, that was one of the better ones.
Absolutely. And I will say this about Houston. They give you effort all the time. We all know they're not good enough, but they don't go out and play like they're not good enough. And sooner or later in these games, their warts appear, and blocking Hargrave might have been one of the bigger warts of all time. They couldn't handle the guy.
I do think that Cesario, the GM, made a mistake, though, by wanting too much for some of his assets. Okay, they're not going anywhere. They're not going to get there in short time. He should have, I think, settled for less to get rid of some of his players, but we shall see. Listen, the last time we spoke, the trade deadline had about 7.5 hours left. And during that 7.5 hours, all what broke loose in the NFL. In looking back, Pat, do we think that this is going to be the new norm, or is it just because, Pat, this year we have so much damn mediocrity that it led to more movement?
That's a great question. I've asked a couple. Brandon Bean and I talked about it 2 days ago. I asked him the question, would you like to see the trade deadline move back to the Tuesday before Thanksgiving? First, he had a sigh of exhaustion. Then he goes, I suppose that would be good for the league. And he said, and the reason I sound exhausted is I am. Whether you make a trade or not, and Pete Carroll said the same thing. He said John was on the phone for 2 weeks, all day, every day. So there was plenty of effort to make things happen. And these are the same general managers that make trades in the draft now that they never made before. We've done it. I did enough drafts when it was pretty vanilla. So you see these guys making trades for veterans and picks and everything else. So they're getting used to it. They would I think most of them would like a longer period. And the old guard that said, oh, you'll have fire sales. No one cares about the fire sales. If you want to go have a fire sale, have one. The big thing here, though, David, is do you have the cap space to trade that guy? And do you have the cap space to accept that guy? Some of these contracts are so big that you have a hard time doing it. And then you get to go for Chubb and then make that deal. I told Jimmy he's going to be a top 6 or 7 contract. And neither one of us thought he was worth it. He's a nice young player, but he's not ready for that kind of money. But he got it anyway. So I think what we're really seeing is signability is the number one force why people are getting traded. Good players, not the mediocre ones, but the good ones are being traded because the club can't sign them.
Well, what do you think from Miami's standpoint? How much closer are they to Kansas City and Buffalo than they were when we last talked to you on Tuesday, Pat?
No closer. In my mind, I think this is why the same question comes up in the draft all the time, Mark. Right after the first round, fans start fantasizing how great this player is going to be to change our woes right on the spot, and it doesn't happen. Look, I think Robert Quinn's a very good player. What did he play last night? A dozen plays, maybe half a dozen plays. It takes time to get him in. And talking to Arthur Smith about that subject, he goes, it's hard to get these guys integrated into your system. So it might take a month to get them right. And I said, come on now, Arthur, you can take a corner and put him in at corner. He goes, sure, I can put him out there and have a small package of stuff for him, but he's not ready for our checks. He's not ready for some of our adjustments. So it is hard in football. It's not like baseball. I can trade you. You get on a plane, you fly in, and you're playing right field an hour later. So it's harder, but I don't think they got closer to Kansas City and Buffalo.
The Detroit general manager trading Hawkinson and the next day meeting with the media and saying, I didn't make this deal because we were 1-6. I would have made this deal even if we were 6-1. There's a lot of components to it. He had a year and a half left on a contract. I guess they made the decision they were not going to sign him. Pat, your thoughts, A, trading within the division when you're bad, and B, Pat, I got to be honest, if I was a Lions fan, I'd be honked.
Yeah, well, you're working with a Lions fan, a former Lions fan anyway. No, he's shaking his head no. So the Hawkinson one is very interesting. Would I trade in a division if I didn't like the player or if I thought he was overrated? Sure, I would. Bledsoe to the Bills. They were happy to send him to the Bills, even though he won that first one. When I was there this summer, I got the feeling that Hawkinson knew he was getting traded then. He didn't think he was long for the Detroit Lion world. Maybe his agent had sent out enough, cannon fodder that they were never going to do a deal with him. I would have kept him, and I would have franchise tagged him twice because he's a fine player. They are not going to replace talent for talent with him. I don't care what they think of the other tight ends that they've got on the roster. Sooner or later, they're going to have to draft a premier tight end, and that's a pick that you didn't have to make. You had one. That's why the talent for talent thing is rule one for me. Trading in your division only if I didn't like the guy. So trading him to Minnesota, not a good idea.
Let's get to some of the games, Pat. Tampa Bay and the Rams. This is such a big game for both teams, but obviously Tampa Bay and the Rams both going in the wrong direction. You look at Tampa, they didn't make a move. We thought they should have, David and I. But as you point out, it doesn't mean that they weren't trying. They just didn't accomplish it. So when you look at what's going on with both of these teams, how do you see this game?
Well, it's the battle of the old quarterbacks that someone needs to step up. You look at that list of 5 quarterbacks that are aged players, and they're not, Matt Ryan's already on the bench. So you got 2 more in this game. Brady's got a lot of things behind him now that were in front of him a week ago even. So I think Brady and his company, the game's at home. The Rams, they have a hard time having an identity. Both teams can't run the ball, but at least at times Tampa tries to run the ball. I think Tampa's defense is a little better, maybe the home field, but these 2 teams are extremely disappointing. So David said it in August. Tampa's going to win the division anyway. I wonder if he still feels that way. But 21-17, the glory days of Stafford and Brady look behind them.
Yeah, I think we can agree with that. Now, are they still 2 of the 10, 12 best? I would argue they are, but that's a discussion about the quality of quarterback play, etc. Listen, we've talked about the Dolphins and we talked about the Bears already, but now they're playing each other. And it's last week all over again for Miami. Going on the road, can they handle, probably won't be easy, but beating a team that they should beat. And Pat, I've been very critical of the Bears front office, but I love the Claypool trade, even though they probably one round too high. But also they've scored points the last 2 weeks. They're actually putting an offense together. They've scored 29 each of the last 2 weeks. This is a dangerous game for Miami, in my opinion.
It is. I don't think they're going to win it, but I do think that Miami's just a better team, and Miami's chasing something. The Bears, what message are they sending in their locker room to their veterans? We sent our best pass rusher and our best linebacker away. Now, some people don't care for Roquan as much as I do or what you got from him, but when you do that and you send those guys away, you can stand and say, hey, it's time for the young guys to get a chance, but the leading tackler and their best pass rusher are gone. So that's going to affect this defense. The offense, it's really, I think people now know how you have to contain this quarterback. So I think Chicago is is not rebuilding because they haven't been good in a long time. It's a building club, and they're not going to be very good. They're going to be in games like this because the quarterback's an athlete, but I don't think they're going anywhere.
The Chargers in Atlanta is an interesting game for both Florida teams because we think that Miami and the Chargers are going to play one another. That could be a wild card tiebreaker. And Atlanta's currently on top of the division that Tampa's playing in. Atlanta's playing better. Are they playing good enough to get a win against the Chargers?
I find this to be a very dangerous game, and maybe because I talk to Arthur Smith every week, and I know what's his pulse and what he's all about. He's going to be running the ball. The Chargers are terrible at run defense. It's music to Arthur's ears. When he watched them in preparation, and he's getting Patterson back, maybe not in this game, but he's getting them back, he's thinking, I'm going to run the ball 45 times. Plus, he's really got Mariota in the best place he's been in a long time. I think it's going to be hard for the Chargers. Now, the other side of the coin is that Atlanta's pass defense is terrible. So it could be high scoring, but Atlanta, much to my surprise, is now 6th in the league in scoring points. Arthur Smith's doing a good job. I would like him to win, and I think he has a very good chance to.
Yeah, I do too. In fact, a little preview as to later on in the show. I've got 2 upsets this week, and this is one of them. We've got a minute. Packers in Detroit.
Look, Green Bay, they're still a better team. Detroit just got rid of their best tight end and one of their best scoring problems for any defense. Swift is back. I'm not sure he's 100%. I think Green Bay gets the ship right here. They're not consistent. They're fighting for a wild card, and they may not make it, but I think Rodgers has enough fire left in him to deal with this situation.
Aren't we all surprised about how badly the Packers defense has played?
I'm shocked. And it's my fault because when I studied them this spring and summer and looked at them, I said, they got a front seven that's good. Someone in this room agreed with me, but they're not playing that way.
Yeah, that was me, by the way. That agreed with you.
I think these are the kind of things the front office is going to think they're a good front seven too. And that might cause some coaches their jobs at the end of the season, assistant coaches.
Why? Just because the guy also they let go has gone to the Vikings and is like leading the league in sacks. That's not a good look for everybody. He's Pat Kirwan. He moves the chains on NFL radio with Jim Miller weekdays 3 to 7 and Saturdays 2 to 5. And he's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. When we come back, we'll go through the rest of the games and some of the big issues like, is Washington really going to have a new owner? Talk to Pat Kirwan about it next. Miller and Moulton, where else but here on the Florida Sports Network?
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I will say, Pat, you feel good about your people at the gate. They are a tight-knit unit. They are not letting anybody in these days.
Oh, well, I don't care for that personally, but I go to so many places where they just wave you through.
I know.
Hi, I'm a terrorist. Come on in.
Yep, that's how my neighborhood is. And I've been doing so. The parks are all closed. My daughter plays soccer, and the Lee County parks are closed. So I got this great coach. He's finding neighborhoods where they've got parks. So we're going to the same neighborhood to practice twice a week, and half of them here for the God. Just go. Don't care.
Yeah, well, that's what I look for. I'm glad you and My friend over there, Rob, has gotten to be friends over the parental thing, but he's a good guy.
What a good guy. His
Got a lot
daughter.
of-
I mean, obviously the genes are there. His daughter's a really good athlete, and she's a good soccer player. It's not even her favorite sport.
Yeah. You know, he grew up a mile from where I raised my family.
Oh, really?
And we didn't even know each other. I mean, I heard of his dad, Steve. He was around town a lot, but I didn't know him. And he went to a little private school that had hockey that he wasn't going to the local schools. Otherwise, I would have seen him. He didn't play Little League or anything, just played hockey.
Funnier than hell, David, is Ryan Vest. He played for the Sharks for a little bit, but he played most of his time over in Europe. He played 10 plus years over in Europe, played most of it in Russia. Telling stories about playing, just had some funny stories about guys on his team that in the summer played men's league with Putin in the rules, and you couldn't touch him, you couldn't go near him. Putin would have 10 goals in every men's league game because you couldn't, the goalie couldn't stop it.
Oh,
amazing.
My God.
I mean, I was dying listening to the stories.
Yeah.
But he said he liked, I mean, you know, he played over there for a while. He liked it. He had
A lot of if you ever go to his gym, the gym is full of jerseys from all of his friends from the European League that come and go through there. And actually, two of them have worked with my grandkids over at the arena that are just friends of Ryan's that were in town and had nothing to do. And now, and both of them went back over this year, and they both swore they were going to retire. And they went over anyway.
So did you get the tickets?
Yes, we're all set. My brother and Janet, they're all going tomorrow or tonight. Is it tonight?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's tonight. The 4th. Today's the 4th. I have no idea what day it is.
I think they play tonight and tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
There's no
Probably.
No, I'm anxious to get down there and get going.
You coming next week?
I'm coming Sunday. I'll be around right away. I'll be in town to do this too. The worst part of Sunday is it's the New York Marathon. So the airport will be, first off, getting through the Lincoln Tunnel after the marathon ain't easy. Getting to the airport, and then when you get there, it's just emaciated runners that drank all afternoon after the meet. It's worse than trying to go home on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. But there are no leaves on the trees up here, so it's time to go.
There you go.
But it was 72 degrees here yesterday. There were guys sailing boats and running jet skis around.
Mark, what day of the week in Fort Myers was the heat index 100?
Halloween.
Yeah.
It's been hot all week. It was cooler this morning. You could tell it was a little nice morning. At the perfect coffee on the balcony morning, Pat.
That's my favorite time. A little bit. It's due on the course, but it's just waiting for the sun to burn it right off. It's great.
Well,
I love that.
30 seconds.
You'll have some great mornings now because there's no one golfing for another month over there. Be nice and quiet. Just hear the birds.
Did our home look like it was bombed in
No.
a nuclear attack?
No. They've got most of that cleaned up. It's eerie when you go to some neighborhoods how unnoticeable it is, Pat.
Come back. We're coming back, guys.
Yeah. When you live in the jungle, it goes right back to the jungle. Bum, 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 bum.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat's weekly appearances brought to us by Pinchers. Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between. Yes, some of their restaurants damaged. One, in fact, will never return, but Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh.
The one that's never going to return is my favorite one.
Well,
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And it'll be a long time before we get down there and do a whole hell of a lot, Pat. That's the depressing part there. Hey, the Vikings, we talked about the trade from the Lions standpoint. Nobody's buying the Vikings. Does this make you buy getting Hawkinson? Does this make you buy the Vikings anymore?
Well, it's the same question you asked about Miami in one sense. I'm not a believer in, and I think and I said this to you on Tuesday, it's the Cousins factor. When you drill down into the team, oh, yeah, the running backs are good. Oh, yeah, the running backs good. Oh, those receivers, yeah, they're good. You just keep talking, and before you know it, the Viking fans themselves don't believe in Cousins. And then Cousins has to win a big game, which he's never done. And if he does, I think people will see the Vikings for what they are, a very good football team. But everyone waits, except for David, I think. Everyone waits for Cousins to, do something wrong, like throw an interception in their big game.
I just think that he's not nearly as bad as people think he is.
I agree with you.
I mean, do I think he's somewhere around the 13th to 15th best quarterback in the league? Yeah, but he's talked about as if he's the 25th best starting quarterback in the league. I mean, I did watch him go to New Orleans and outplay Drew Brees in a playoff game and beat the Saints in overtime with 2 great throws on the game-winning drive. I mean, he doesn't suck.
No, but the Viking fans, if you told the Viking fans we've traded him, they'd be happy. You wouldn't even have to tell them who's in for him.
No, I know you're right. No, they don't believe in him. That is for sure. And I guess, Pat, when we're asking you about the Dolphins and we're asking you about the Vikings, and we could say the same thing about the Ravens, and a team that I'm going to bring up here, like interesting game this week. Tennessee's at Kansas City. We don't think Tannehill's good enough. Their receivers are not good enough, but man, they slow games down. They play defense. They run the football. And that's actually the ingredients. If you're going to win that road division game, you can either just be Miami and say, we're going to outscore you 38-35, or you could Tennessee and Baltimore you, in which it's like, we're going to slow this game down. We're going to run it, and it's going to be close in the fourth quarter. I mean, are we buying the Baltimores and the Tennessees because of the style they play?
Well, I love the question. I talked to Simmons yesterday. What a great conversation I had with him. He is some underrated football player. If that guy was playing in New York or the Cowboys, we'd be talking about that guy all the time. There's 5.5 sacks, but he's got all kinds of other things going on with hits on the quarterback, tackles for loss. So he understands who his team is. And he was a great describer of, we play defense, we try to punch you in the mouth, which we can do. They lost their outside rushers, and they didn't flinch. D'Amico and him are inside causing chaos, and they're going to run the ball. So they kind of see themselves on both sides of the ball the same way. And he said to me, we live for games like this because we believe the way we play football is different than the way he wouldn't even think of Baltimore in his world because Tannehill is not Lamar. We're just going to come up there and grind away. They don't win by a lot. This was, to me, a little bit like the old Seahawk teams when Pete first got it going. They were running the living daylights out of it and not asking Marshawn to do a lot. That's who they are. And they think to your point, we can slow the game down against anybody. That's their style. It's old school. Here's what I don't think. I don't think it's a style that gets the Super Bowl win. I think it's a style that wins a division and is a problem for people. But to sustain it, you got to keep giving Henry the ball, and he's not going to last.
Seattle's an underdog again, and his name escapes me. You had one of the D linemen on this week. I thought it was a fascinating interview, and if you could just enlighten us.
Shelby, yeah.
Yeah, you talk about Pete Carroll a lot. You know him very well. But I thought Shelby talking about Pete Carroll and the way he motivates players, I thought that was enlightening about what their team's about. And I'm sure it breeds right into what they're talking about this week because they're on the road and they're told they're going to lose again.
Shelby Harris is a character. You need to get him on your show. He is hysterical. and he describes things vividly, and he's entertaining the whole time. And he was at a place that was kind of blah, if you will, when it came to the head coach. I don't think everyone thought the head coach was a main ingredient to whatever Denver's success was. It was going to be, and that's not bad because a lot of guys like that. When he gets to Seattle, he finds the new energy level that Pete works at with his staff and the rest of the team. But the thing that Shelby said there, the most important thing was Pete Carroll has our rookies believe in their stars. And Pete, he puts them right on the field. 2 offensive tackles. This week he had the rookie of the year, rookie of the month on offense with Walker, and the rookie on defense with the cornerback. So he's got 5 or 6 rookies playing, and Shelby said, here's what he makes those guys not afraid to play, not fearful of what their job is, and then believes and convinces them they're going to go out there and play great. And he goes, that's where the magic is. And on the sideline, he does it all the time to all of us, and we kind of think we can't be beat. It's amazing. Well, he's never changed.
Pat, we got about 2 minutes. Do we think Snyder is selling the team, or do we think he's selling like 40% of the team, but is still going to try to retain it?
I think the whole thing's going to go. I think it's the $5 billion. Now, here's my question to you guys for next week. I'm tired of the NFL granting ownership to the highest bidder. They better start finding owners that are the right owners. Maybe someone who doesn't have all the resources would be a better owner for this league. You got to start thinking about the league. And sometimes it's like the money's so inviting to them. And I'm not here to criticize, but I don't think we always get owners that are good for the NFL. So I would say the challenge there is you're going to get 5 or 6 big bids. Everyone's going to be in the $5 billion range. But let's pick the best guy for this is the Washington Commanders. This is a linchpin of the NFL. We need a guy that believes in the way the NFL operates, not some independent thinker who's going to run around, maybe even like Dan did. I'm tired of owners that aren't the right guys.
Pat, I think this is going to be a lot like Kroenke to LA. They're going to give it to the guy who also is going to fork out $2 extra billion and build a new stadium. I think that's what they're going to do. So basically, to me, Pat, this purchase is going to cost $8 billion. 6 for the team, 2 for the stadium.
I agree with that. And what is it going to be worth the day after the stadium opens? $10 billion?
Probably.
That's how it works.
This is not an expense. This is an investment. And we guarantee there's a return on our money here.
He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's moving the chain, CBS's NFL Today show, and he joins us once again courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, a bunch of locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Thank you, my friend.
Be good, fellas. I'm anxious to see you guys. I'll be down there starting next week, every week for the rest of the season.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it, Pat. Enjoy the games.
For some reason, I don't think it's going to be Bezos. I just heard whispers. I don't think he's the NFL's favorite guy. I think they're going to try to go somewhere else.
And they're already getting $1 billion of his money. Why not get it from another pot? But that seems to be the NFL's way. They want more money from more people. So I don't think you're off base with your thinking. Chris Landry is never off base with his thinking. Talking all things college football next on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka, The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Barstool sent out a tweet. Coyotes are a borderline AHL team.
No, they don't. The AHL doesn't play in arenas that badly.
I was going to say they play
That's
bigger
not.
arenas.
That's a bad coast arena from when I was in Nashville.
That's like Binghamton. All right, when Binghamton was an AHL city.
All right, I just saw something that's horrible, and it's right. What's
up?
Well, it's not horrible, but it just stung when I read it, and it's probably right. What team's Justin Verlander going into the Hall of Fame as?
A Tiger. I think it's the Tigers.
I do too, but
I mean, didn't he do like 12 years in Detroit?
Yeah, he did. Us Lions fans know better. We like to call this a bounce back game for Rodgers and the Pack. That is funny. Thanksgiving has become the middle child. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
We are doing great.
How are you?
What's yourself?
Good. Just grinding away.
I know, and we're getting down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, we are. It's Week 10. You believe
My
it?
wife likes to make these Saturday plans for me, and I said, can you just hold off everything until December 10th?
There you go.
There's a lot going on here.
There you go. No.
1 minute.
So we're going to dig down a little bit on Georgia, Tennessee with you. Is that okay?
That'd be great. Let's do it.
Yeah, RCB. There's like 6 Astros, I think, who were part of that 2017 team. Got Altuve, you got Bregman. I think there's 6 guys on this year's team that were on that team.
Here we go, guys.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton with Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. At this time on Fridays, we talk college football with Chris Landry. He of LandryFootball.com, LandryFootball.com. You can follow the former coach and scout at Landry Football. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm getting giddy with excitement over this week's games. 2 major games, and one in particular, obviously, that it's what makes college football unique, to have these games that have a playoff feel, right, not in the middle of the season, but towards the end of it.
And a bit of an elimination game, maybe not even a bit of an elimination game between Tennessee and Georgia. We've talked a lot about the Tennessee offense and how much, if anything, will, the crowd noise. And I mean, they played Alabama. They did it at home. They were able to make their changes. And it's going to be a great scene in Athens. Does crowd noise or does how much on the road take away from what Tennessee does offensively?
Not as much in terms of signals. They go so fast. It's a lot of hand signals. Now, sometimes when you're making communications, because the splits are so long, if you've got to make some communication adjustments, that could be an issue, but you got to be prepared for that. You're going on the road, so you've got to have the hand signals and everything in order so that you minimize it. It's just, I think the atmosphere going on the road, it's always interesting to see because this team has not played a real tough road environment this year. The closest was LSU at 11 a.m., and LSU just, turned the football over numerous times early. They've not had to go on the road. Everything has been done at home. So it's a unique challenge that we're going to see how this team that looks so hot is able to deal with.
Yeah, you could argue their toughest environment was actually Pitt, week 2,
yeah,
on the road, and we can all insert our jokes here. What schematically is Georgia going to be able to do better than Alabama? Tennessee seemingly got their fastest receivers with a running start on Alabama safeties, and they ran by them for 3 long scores. They did the same thing against Florida, in which Florida actually blew the coverages, and 2 of them were wide open walk-ins. What is it you think Georgia is going to do to make Tennessee's offense look different?
Well, they do a really good job out of bunch at stack sets to get, like, for example, Jalen Hyatt free. The key is, and when, I went back and looked again at the Alabama game, Tennessee-Alabama game, they make Tennessee's offense is about numbers. And what they do is they come to the line of scrimmage. It's a half field read, and they will read the safety. If the safety is biting up, they're going to throw it. If he's stand back, they'll hand it off. The untold story about this Tennessee offense is that they really want to run, and they will run, and they will run it very well. And this offensive line is playing very well. It's strictly a numbers game. It's not like they're going through progressions and finding the open guy. They will scheme the guy open off of a stack set, and if you're biting, you don't have enough guys that can cover him correctly, and that's going to be an issue. So what Georgia has to do, what anybody has to do, is can you defend Tennessee's run game without putting extra numbers in the box? So you can't get the safety, DeMarco Hellams, in this case for Alabama, peeking in, jumping in, biting in, because that's when they can get you over the top. You've got to be able to defend the run with less numbers so that you can keep your guys back deep and help out. You want to play man, obviously. Now, Georgia is the same type of coverage scheme as Alabama. It's a pattern match. It's not man. It's not zone. It's a man within a zone. I think they like to play more man here. But in order to do that, they got to defend the run. And everybody says, well, how did they stop the receivers? And you got to do two things. Defend the run without putting extra numbers, and you got to get pressure on Hooker. Prior to the Alabama game, I talked about Alabama has got to be able to crash the mesh point. That decision where they decide whether he's going to hand it off or throw it. You've got to crash that and you've got to force the issue on when they make that decision. Alabama couldn't do it, and nobody's been able to do it. Hooker's not been pressured. Can Georgia do that? They've not been a great sack team, but can they get good pressure? Go back to the run set again, Georgia has really good, particularly Carter, really good interior defensive linemen. So that's going to be the key. That's going to be the key when they got the ball. That's the storyline. How do you do it? There are different ways you can do it, but it's about how well you execute it. And it all comes down to, can you defend the run without putting extra numbers in the box? Because that's going to be problematic to be able to have enough guys that can cover those three receivers.
Tennessee blocked really well against Alabama. Smith now out for Georgia, one of their big linebackers. How much does that hurt Georgia in this running game? Because he's a key run stopper.
It does hurt, no question. He's an outstanding player. No question it hurts. Probably not the worst thing that could have happened. I think that if you to tell me, if he was there and Carter was not, I think that'd be a bigger loss. Beal is really good, and they've got really good linebackers that have played a lot and have played well. So, yeah, it's a loss, particularly if one of the next guys goes down. But I think they're in better shape than people might think with that. But look, you want to have all hands on deck here, and you really do this time
all right.
of year.
I'm Kirby, and we're in the offensive meeting early in the week, and we're putting together the game plan. They've been throwing it a lot more this year with Stetson Bennett, but I think they've been doing it against inferior teams. I think they need to have their offense complement their defense. I think they need to go back to last year's offense. They need to power run this ball. They showed the 2 and 3 tight end look a lot against Florida. It's really difficult to stop. And I think they need to play the way they played in November of last year tomorrow. That's not how they've played most of this year. If you were advising Kirby and the offensive staff, would you keep Bennett throwing the ball 30 plus times a game, or would you go back to last year's offense?
Well, that depends on how Tennessee plays it. See, the reason why they're throwing it more is, A, they feel like they need a few more points. That's the big overview. But the biggest thing is, if you're defending Georgia, what are you going to do? You have to stop the run. You have to put numbers in the box to stop their run game, because of their offensive line. And their backs are not like great, but they're really good, and they've got a few of them. So that determines why they throw the football so much. The tight ends, and if you're gonna load the front, you're gonna put 8-man fronts, cheat an extra guy in the box, they're gonna throw it against that, and they're gonna have success. Which I think you're talking about, and I agree with. It's ball control. Break Tennessee's offensive rhythm by scoring 6 points pretty much every time you get it, as much as you can, but do it in maybe 6-minute increments and not the up and down. They don't want to get – they no one can just match the up-tempo, fast break, basketball on grass that Tennessee runs. You don't want that. Georgia wants to make this a phone booth game. They do want to run it. They're going to want to, but Tennessee's going to have to put numbers in the box, and they're not good defending the pass when they can't get good pass rush. So I think there are going to be plenty of plays that are going to be available to them in the passing game. But I think methodically working them, particularly with the tight ends. I mean, they got a lot of mismatch options. So I think it's about ball control, game control. There's no question if this is the old boxing match, if it's, Frazier Ali, then, Tennessee's Ali and Rope, just moving around. And then Frazier wants to come in, get him in a corner and just bludgeon him to death. That's what Georgia wants to do. And they can do that, but they can't get behind. So how they play defensively affects this. If they're down 17-3, David, Mark, then, they're going to have to throw it a little bit more. And they're playing into Tennessee's tempo because they have to. And that's what happens against Tennessee. You get behind, you have to play their game. They bring you into the deep water where you don't want to be, and then you get chomped to death.
You went right to where I was going, and I was going to ask you which team is in a better situation with the 2-score lead. Who does that, if Georgia gets up 2 scores or if Tennessee gets up 2 scores, but you just talked about it, lulling that team into playing your style. Does Georgia have to, if they were to go down early by 2 scores, does Georgia really have to start chucking it around, or do they still want to grind Tennessee and be able to stick with their game plan?
Early, they don't have to give up the game plan, but you're down 14, 17 points middle of the third quarter, then you have to start throwing it. But early, you stick with your game plan. It's as simple as that. Tennessee's going to do what they do, and it's just going to be trying to score as much as they can. And here's the thing. I think the key to, in my view, to stopping Tennessee defensively as best as you can, make them go in chunks. Don't let them beat you with a quick score. Make them go on 6 or 8 play drives. It's just common sense. On 8 play drives, you may have a bad throw. You may have a tip ball. They may drop a ball. I mean, and all of a sudden they're not quite in rhythm, and all of a sudden you get them to kick a field goal instead of a touchdown. You give the quick score, then you automatically have that feeling of, we got to make that up real quickly. And that's where they kind of get you into their deep water, as I talk about. I think you got to be patient here. Now, the tough part of that, you say, make them go on a 6 or 8 play drive and make them score in the red zone where the throwing windows are tighter. And Hendon Hooker is not as good throwing into tight windows. He's the best in the deep ball throws. But Tennessee's got the best red zone offense, one of the best in the country and the best in the SEC. So they get it done in the red zone too. That's why it's difficult, but I think that's your best chance to slow down. But I think your best defense is, in some degree, what you guys are talking about, is your offense has to make it work for you and kind of break the rhythm of Tennessee's offense.
All right, Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com, LandryFootball.com. Follow him on Twitter at LandryFootball. We've got less than 4 minutes. There's 2 other games we want to get to. So quickly, LSU, Alabama. LSU's a 2-touchdown dog. Is this game closer than that?
Might be a little closer. I would say more along the lines of 10. I think LSU, everybody's talked about, they've gotten a lot better. They have. They've really grown. Brian has kind of figured out what this team can and can't do, and he's maximizing that. But a couple of things that jump out at me. They got down against Ole Miss and Mississippi State. And they made really significant adjustments and basically outcoached and outplayed both of those teams and came back and won. Better get off to a good start, because you're not going to beat Alabama down 14-3 like you did to Mississippi State or Ole Miss. So I think that's going to be pivotal. I think who handled the bye week the best? How much better has each team gotten? I think if Alabama plays a cleaner game, they make mistakes, turnovers, penalties. We know that's the great equalizer. LSU is capable of making this game close. They are capable of winning if Alabama plays sloppy. If Alabama plays a clean game, I think as impressive as I've been with LSU, beating Mississippi State, beating Ole Miss is not beating Alabama, and at home against Alabama has not been the big advantage that as it is against other teams. Alabama plays well in Baton Rouge.
It used to be a big national game. It's not even a big game in the state, but Florida State and Miami, the Noles trying to keep things rolling a little bit.
They are, and look, I sum this pretty quickly. Miami is a disaster area, and this is more big picture for me. Mario's got to figure out who's on board and who they need to move away from. I think there'll be a lot of energy and emotion. Florida State's been the more consistent of the two, which is maybe not saying a whole lot, but they look like the better team clear.
60 seconds. Clemson at Notre Dame. DJ back at quarterback. This is where he made his debut 2 years ago. Your thoughts?
Notre Dame's playing with a little more confidence, a little bit better offensively, but not very good. I am concerned about Clemson as it relates to being like a national playoff team. I don't think they're that good, quite frankly, but I think they're probably good enough to get this one going. But you just hit it. Just putting DJ on the bench and trying to tell everybody that he's the guy and he is the guy, but he has moments where he just doesn't play very well. And if he doesn't, this could be a lot closer and a lot more scary for the Clemson folks than they think.
10 seconds. Is Kansas State going to beat Texas and make the Big 12 title game?
I think they are. I trust them more than I trust Texas, but this will be a challenge. Don't get behind early. Texas will play with a lot of emotion here.
There are 4 games involving nationally ranked teams playing one another: Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, Texas, Kansas State, and also Wake Forest, NC State to settle the dispute as to who's the second best team in the conference. He's Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. Chris, thanks.
Enjoy the games, guys. Thanks for having me.
Follow him on Twitter at Landry Football also. Chris Landry joining us.
That was a deep dive into Georgia and Tennessee, and then a little quick hitters on a lot of the other games. But it sounds to me like he likes Georgia.
Yes. Yes.
And
I got the points. I think he thinks Georgia's going to cover.
I think he does too. Miller and Moulton, Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte. We thank you for listening. We'll be back Monday morning. In the 239, the bonus hour is next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, and also RCB, Verlander was on that team. They acquired him a minute before the trade deadline expired. He actually pitched a great Game 6 in LA. I think he lost 2-1 when they had a chance up 3-2 to win that series. Then they won, obviously, the next day. So, Money, you don't think this is even going to be a close game? Interesting. See, I think Tennessee's – I think they're going to get their 28.
So one of the soccer dads, and I couldn't tell you his name because, he's, hey. His last name's Mitchell. I only know that because that's where we're going to practice. Okay. He's on the committee for whatever the Champs Sports Bowl is.
Oh.
He gets to wear the jacket. And it's like there's thousands of people. But he goes to a game every year with a buddy. He's going to Texas Tech TCU this week. Wears the jackets. He gets a vote, even though it's all determined. They vote on who they want, and but it was hysterical. I'm like, I go, the conference is picking. He goes, oh, I know, of course. And he's got to buy some tickets, and that's all part of the thing to get on that. But I'm like, that is awesome. Always wanted to be on the. I go, first thing I asked when he said to him, like, do you guys have sport jackets?
You tell them, listen, we're jealous. Okay, we are. But we also make fun of the fact that, it's just one of the 5 hokiest jobs in the world.
But think about this. You're not doing what we do. You're a big sports fan. You can pay a little bit of money to get on this committee. You get to go to a game for free every year. He goes, he's showing me pictures of the game he was at last year at Ole Miss. Cheerleaders, the whole cheerleaders. Can we get a picture with you? Because they see the guy in the jacket.
Mm-hmm.
So when the guy in the jacket, he goes, now certain schools don't care. He goes, you go to Alabama, they wouldn't care. Ole Miss, they don't care what bowl they want to go to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're treated like royalty at some of these places. I say over, Ryan. There's going to be a lot of orange there.
So 15% is about 13,000 fans.
Because they get about 10 to begin with.
So, yeah, I would go over.
I think it's a 75-25. I think it's the most orange you will have seen there in a long time. Well, I will tell you what there, Money. Chris Landry seemed to agree with you, as did Lee Sterling. So,
yeah, Elon's going to lay off almost 4,000 people.
$20 seconds. All right, let's do it.
I don't think so, Ryan.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour on a football Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Coming up in a little bit, the Clutch Vodka play of the day. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day win, along with some final thoughts. Mark, there's an interesting thing that has developed during the show today. People in the know like Georgia. Lee Sterling picks winners for a living. Is having a really good year. Likes Georgia laying the 8. Chris Landry done a deep dive on this game. Weeks worth of film watching Georgia and Tennessee. You could tell he likes Georgia in this game, and he likes them to cover.
You really could.
And we're getting the sentiment in the Twitch chat room anyway. Don't know about the text line. The sentiment in the Twitch chat room is, I really like Georgia. That Tennessee is hype. And I think that this is what happens when you haven't been in this situation for a while. Because this is what we're seeing in our Twitch chat room is what people were saying about Georgia a half a dozen years ago.
Read my mind, David, as we were talking about it before the show of when there have been big games in Athens and what's happened. Georgia's been on the bad side of them.
Now, Georgia's been better than Tennessee. You know, Tennessee got bad. Georgia never got bad. Georgia just couldn't get to very good and great. You know, after Dooley, they lived in 8-4, 9-3 land. Mark Richt scratched it. You know, he had 2 or 3 teams that were right there and could have played for the national title.
And was consistently good enough where the fan base got annoyed with 10 wins, essentially.
Right.
I mean, that's really what happened. Mark Richt got him to 10-2, and that wasn't good enough anymore.
No.
When they had been, as David said, 8-4 for 2 decades.
Right. He averaged over 9.5 wins a year during his 15-year stay in Georgia. And Georgia fan was ready to run him out of town as the second best coach in the history of the school. But they were ready. They were willing to fail and go backwards with Kirby because they wanted to take a shot at getting to the next level, and they were convinced, hey, we gave you 15 years, you couldn't get us there. Came really close. 2007, 2012, you came really close.
And they knew deep down that the really nice guy that Mark Richt wasn't the guy that was going to get him a natty. They knew as much as I don't know about run him out of town because they loved Mark Richt.
Mm-hmm.
They really and truly did. I've been around a lot of Georgia people. They loved Mark Richt. He brought them back to relevance, and they hadn't been relevant in a long time. But he was a really nice guy, and he wasn't going to go into the administration and explain to them exactly what was needed in order to be an elite program. Kirby did it in the interview on a napkin.
I'll only take the job if you commit to doing this. And when he handed them the list, he said, by the way, not 5 out of 7 and not 6 out of 7. I will take the job if you will do everything I just put on the Christmas list. Then I'll take it.
It's not really a list. It's a list of demands.
Correct. I'm sorry. You took what I was saying the wrong way. Right. That's how it went. And obviously Kirby now took him to the next step. This is the very beginning of Josh Heupel at Tennessee. You asked me yesterday, is Tennessee back? And I said, I can't answer that this year. Because 5 years ago, we thought Miami was back when they were unbeaten in late November. And obviously that turned out to be a mirage. They were not back. You know, Florida's had 2 years ago, Dan beat Kirby and Florida went to Atlanta and gave Alabama the toughest game they had all year, in a year in which they dominated and won the national championship. and Dan was out of work a year later. So I need to just wait on Heupel here. But I don't think this year's team is a fraud. I don't. I think they're legit. I think they score 28 on anybody. Anybody. So, to me, with them getting 8 or whatever it is you got them at, then, Georgia's got to score 38, 40 points. If I'm right that Tennessee can score a touchdown a quarter against anybody. So I think it's a game. I think it's a really good boxing match. I see moments in which each team actually scores a knockdown. Not a knockout, but a knockdown. I think we're 7-8 rounds into this thing, and Harold Letterman comes out and tells us it's 4-4 in rounds. Now, maybe somebody's got a 10-8 round because they scored a knockdown, but I think, and then by about late third quarter into the fourth quarter, we start to see who's going to pull away.
One of the things Chris Landry said that I think people need to hear again is that at their core, Tennessee wants to run the football. That is the game within the game. Georgia, as he mentioned, really good linebackers. How are they going to do? They replaced all those players. How are they going to do up front? Because as you've pointed out, David, in the Alabama game, Tennessee was able to control the line of scrimmage far better than anybody thought they were going to. Now, they still needed a bunch of help to win that game. But they were really good on the line of scrimmage, particularly the offensive line.
It's a conundrum for a defense in this sense. You heard Chris Landry talk about you really want to crash. He calls it the mesh point. It's basically crashing down from the ends, which forces Hooker, the quarterback, to make the decision on the run play option quickly. Is this a run or a pass? Yet I believe if you're going to stop their passing game, it's not pressure from the ends. It's pressure from up the middle. Georgia got Carter back last week against the Gators, number 88. He's a first-round pick at defensive tackle. He's a special player. Now, he's not 100% in shape, but he's an elite defensive tackle. That guy's a handful.
But to your point, he just coming back from injury, and the tempo at which Tennessee plays, how many snaps is this kid going to be able to stay on the field for? And what Tennessee's really good at is what they stay in those packages of keeping someone on the field and wearing them out. So I find that as another, just their tempo in particular, how Georgia's defense will be affected by that. Because I think the reason you're saying they're going to be able to score a quarter on anybody is that when you run at that pace, sooner or later, a defense makes mistakes. I mean, they put so much pressure on a defense that they force you into bad plays.
And is this going to be the first time in the last 2 years? Can Tennessee truly put the game in Stetson Bennett's hands? You think about it last year. There was one time where a team put the game in Stetson Bennett's hands. Alabama in the SEC championship game. And he didn't respond very well. Now, the defense was terrible that day, but it's kind of like here. Like Alabama had it going offensively. Georgia looked up and they were down 2 scores. And they went away from the power running game and they put it in number 13's hands. It didn't work out that well. And that's, to me, Mark, he's 25 years old, national championship quarterback, the great story, the whole deal. He's going to have car dealerships and insurance companies. I mean, he's going to have an unbelievable life. He ain't the best quarterback in this game. And he does throw the ball to the other team eventually. He does. I mean, he threw it to Florida last week. Florida should have had 4 picks last week. And so that, to me, quite frankly, I know he's won a national championship, and he did make some big plays in that game. But I wonder, if this gets high scoring, you want Hooker or you want Bennett? Who do you want?
Oh, there's no question when it comes to that. You want Hooker. He's the better quarterback. It's not that close.
Now, you could argue Bennett's got the better team, but that's what I want. Can Tennessee, whether it's their offense doing it or their defense slowing them down just enough, that to me, we're asking all the questions of what Tennessee can do against Georgia. What if this game in the fourth quarter is in number 13's hands? And we don't normally say this about a national championship winning quarterback. It's like questioning a quarterback who's won the Super Bowl. Can he handle it? Let's face it, Stetson Bennett's Trent Dilfer. I mean, let's be brutally honest. He's a national championship winning quarterback. We don't give him credit for winning the national championship.
I was going to say, just in relationship to today's show, he's Kirk Cousins, but he's not.
Okay.
I'm just having a little fun.
Right.
But you know what I mean.
And that's what I would love to see. I'd love to see 11 minutes to go, tie game. Stetson Bennett's got the ball, and he's facing some 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s, and he's got to throw it.
I could see 31-27 at some point in the fourth quarter, David. I really could. I see this game somewhere between 4 and 8 points, and that's why I took the points.
Someone's got to be clutch.
And that's coming up in our next segment.
Gotcha.
He's been waiting 2 hours for that.
I thought we were doing it this segment. I don't know.
He was waiting 2 hours, Mark. 2 hours he was waiting for that.
We take, because it's a network show and then other breaks, we take, we thank you guys for sticking through the commercial breaks with us. We do. And it's one of the reasons if you want to come on Twitch, you can avoid some of it. But we have 6 minutes to discuss things like this. And yet on this show, we feel that's the need to not talk about it. So I'll produce on air and say, Felipe, we're doing it in the second segment like we do in the 7 o'clock hour. We were in a pretty big discussion about the biggest game of the week. Biggest game in the history of Athens, Georgia.
Most expensive college football game of all time.
There you go. Mark, to get a ticket for this game, you know what you have to be? Clutch.
Is there a C before that K and 2 other letters?
With a money sign. It's clutch with a money sign.
Gotcha. And a U. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686. Or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Now Felipe has to stay for a few minutes and do some things on the computer and what have you. So we're never walking out in the parking lot together.
No, and besides, he's going to need a spare this morning.
Oh no!
Well, I'm putting a pen through his tire when I walk out.
Oh my god! Hey, Arch, I have my own clutch bottle to defend myself. Be like a clutch vodka bottle lightsaber fight. That's clutch with a K, of course.
It'd also be a knockout with a K.
Oh!
Yeah, so I go to run Pat his tickets yesterday. He doesn't have me at the gate. That took 2 trips to get over there. Finally, I'm sitting there. Had to get him on the phone with him. Then I go to there's usually someone in his lobby. It was lunch. She's not there. Fortunately, his wife finished what she was doing. So I only waited for about 5-10 minutes, but I will say I was amazed how cleaned up that already was.
Oh, really? That's good.
I didn't go drive around any of the neighborhoods, but just the main drag and the golf course looked.
I was surprised that they had the car damage because that's quite a hill you have to drive up.
But they were one was in the garage, which is ground level.
Oh, the garage is ground level?
Well, I mean, it's underneath where you drive up. It goes down.
Okay. So it's not at the top of the thing.
No.
Okay.
It's underneath. I think that's the top of at least 2 stories. But that water it still came up because that's not that low there compared to that. It kind of builds up the whole way on that course. I'm amazed how much water that golf course got. They had a big sinkhole in the range right in front of the cart barn.
Really?
Where the pavers, huge sinkhole.
And they had that course in great shape. Arch, throwing pens are not a threat, but I will say that pen bounced off that glass and made such a clear sound. It was great.
Did it click?
No. It was more like the pen hit the glass flat.
Yes, it did.
Like it did. Like the point didn't hit it or the end didn't hit it. It was as if he threw it and it perfectly rotated and it just hit the wall flat. Boom! It was great. It's much better, for the Twitch, audience. Those listening on the radio or, would be like, is that a noise? But
I don't think that's a serious question, Ken.
I was going to say.
I don't even find that to be a serious question.
No. I think the serious question is, do you think they'll be the 5 seed or not?
I think a serious question is, do you think they'll beat the Bears Sunday? I really do. I will be very impressed with Miami if they just win on Sunday. I'm not messing around. Back-to-back road games in the National Football League? I don't give a damn who you're playing.
They're going to win on Sunday.
Okay. You said Philly in 5. I'll take my $10, by the way.
They have a 3-game road trip in December, too,
right?
The Dolphins.
Right. And that's against real football teams. There's a couple good games in there.
The third one's against the Chargers, I'm telling you.
Isn't the first one against San Francisco?
I thought it's the first one or the middle one, but the last one I think is the Chargers. And that's the one they're going to have to win.
Mark, if the Phillies
win. First
win.
one's the 49ers. Second one's the Chargers. Third one's the Bills.
Gotcha.
The Phillies win, I push.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A little more than 15 minutes away. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day one. Some final thoughts. World Series headed to Houston with the home team up 3-2. They beat the Phillies 2 in a row. First time the Phillies had lost back-to-back games this postseason. First time the Phillies now trail in a series in the postseason. They'll send their ace to the hill tomorrow night, though, Zach Wheeler, although he got roughed up in Game 2. It's a rematch of Game 2. You got Valdez and Wheeler. Valdez pitched really well, took a, shutout in the 7th, and eventually Philly scored one in the 8th, one in the 9th type deal, and had the tying run in the on-deck circle. But so there you have it. Game 6 in Houston. Remember, 3 years ago, Houston came home up 3-2 against Washington, lost them both. And they had Cole and Greinke lined up and ready to go. I mean, this is like the 79 Orioles that had their big three all lined up 3-1 against the Pirates. Had Flanagan, Palmer, and McGregor lined up and ready to go on normal rest, and the Pirates went and beat them. It's baseball. But I'm hoping for a Game 7, even though you and I both picked Houston in 6.
Absolutely.
Would love a Game 7.
I mean, that's what sports is all about.
Right.
So how can you not root for a Game 7? We've had 2 good games in this series. That's the irony. We've had 3 blowouts and 2 good baseball games.
Games 1 and 5 were the good ones. Game 5 ended moments ago, by the way. Whew, man, did it take a long time. Just under 4 hours for a 3-2 baseball game. Man. It's the one thing Manfred's right about. I'll say that. Not crazy about him as a commissioner. Don't think he necessarily has the sport in my best interest in mind all the time, but he's right about the pace of play. I'm sorry. He's right. We got to do something about it.
If we're not swinging at pitches, I don't know how you I know there are little things you can do, and you might be able to pick up a minute here and a minute there, but at the end of the day, when the no-hitter that Larson threw in 56 had 97 pitches, and the guy who threw 6 innings of the no-hitter threw 97 pitches in 6 innings 2 nights ago, I'm sorry. It's just the games are longer.
No question. Never mind, commercial breaks are twice as long and all that. But no, the product on the field, it's very different. And because of it, it takes longer. Absolutely. It's like football going from a running sport to a passing sport. Games then got longer. Speaking of which, Monday Night Football was 2 hours and 51 minutes. Now, it felt like 4.5 hours, but the game took 2 hours and 51 minutes. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, damn. And of course, college football. Are you watching at all? Does it make a difference to you?
Here's a question. What time do Alabama and LSU kick off?
Well, what time are they supposed to kick off? That's I believe, a 7 o'clock start, Mark.
That's what I thought. Yeah, 7 o'clock start. All right. Where will your game be? 3:30 CBS. At what juncture of Georgia, Tennessee will it be at 7 p.m.?
Ooh, boy. If Tennessee's winning, no later than mid-4th quarter. If Georgia's winning, it could be late 4th quarter.
If Tennessee's winning, the 4th quarter could just be starting.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. The 52-49 game was like 2 minutes shy of 4 hours. The Alabama-Tennessee game. Now, you didn't have a lot of people complain about the length of it.
No, but I just, that commercial break you take when they kick off at LSU, that's the only time I will text you this weekend. It'll just be very, David and I have some certain text about certain things that are just numbers and names.
Right.
This will just be time left in quarter. That's all this will be.
3:39, 3:40 is when Georgia, Tennessee will kick off. So can they get the game done in 3:20? By the way, half times are now 20 minutes. So if you think about it, they're kicking off at 3:40. Basically, you're kicking off at 4 o'clock because they had halftime to it. Boom, there you go. So can we play the actual game 45-minute quarters? Can we do it? Oof. Meanwhile, like the first half of the Eagles and the Texans last night was like barely more than an hour. It was unbelievable how fast the first half of that game last night flew.
I want to say Philadelphia's second drive was like 18 plays.
Just
16 plays, something crazy like that. I didn't have the sound on. I had it on the second TV, or actually had it on the main TV because Amazon Prime screws the whole thing up. But yes.
Well, and I thought the first two possessions of the third quarter when Houston kicked the field goal to make it 21-17, I thought there was like a minute and a half left in the third. I'm like, I think each team's had it once. Maybe I missed a possession there, flipping back and forth, but.
All right. He's really eager over there.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead, Felipe.
All right. So last night's game, bottom of the ninth inning, JT Realmuto's up, 1 out. Almost hit a home run, but then this happened.
Fly ball right center field. McCormick on the move. He's at the track. He's at the wall. Makes the grab. Chaz McCormick. 2 gone in the ninth.
Absolute snag by Chaz McCormick. Biggest
Up
play of his life. Biggest moment of his life.
It was
Up
definitely
against the
clutch.
wall.
With a K. Clutch Vodka. Go to clutchspirits.com. I recommend it highly. I like vodka, and I like Clutch Vodka a lot. Check it out at Total Wine. And then you can tell me what you mix it with and post your pictures on Instagram under #ClutchSpirits.
Any concern about the Dolphins, or do you think they're just going to go and take care of business in Chicago?
I have a lot of concern. It's back-to-back road games in the National Football League. It's not easy to do. I will be impressed if they go get the win. I truly will.
I give you my 2 upsets.
I want to hear them.
They're small upsets, and they're both home dogs. I think Atlanta beats the Chargers. I do. I think they're going to run it down their throat. And the Chargers without their top 2 wide receivers. And by the way, check it out. That quarterback has a losing record in the National Football League. Just throwing that out there. And I'm taking Washington at home against Minnesota.
I knew it.
You know why? Snyder's selling the team, and the sports gods are now finally going to lift the jinx. They are the hex. That's it. Besides, it's Taylor Heineke. I mean, it's Kirk Cousins coming back to Washington also.
I'm going all Florida this weekend. Miami, Tampa Bay, and the Jags.
Ooh. I refuse to make a pick on the Raiders. I'm betting the tie, and I want a lot of credit if I get the tie. That's got to be worth like 10 wins.
You need to go throw $25 on a tie, $50, something. But even 25, the odds will be fantastic.
Yep. I'm betting the tie.
Because if it happens and you don't put money on it, you lose 10.
It'll be like having regular Powerball numbers and not playing tomorrow's Powerball and seeing the result and going, no!
Oh, it's the whole reason I do quick picks right there. I could never deal with it. Could never, ever deal with it.
Well, my wife plays her late father, who was a minister's numbers.
You'd think he's got an in.
Well, exactly. For 20 years, I've been looking up at the sky going, seriously? Seriously? Why are we playing your numbers if nothing? Nothing. You know your daughter will give all the money away. I can't believe you can't arrange for this. Nothing. $4. That's all we win.
He can't even get you a weekly winner for crying out loud.
Nothing. Terrible.
Miller and Moulton. Wrapping things up for the week with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day win. What's on tap and final thoughts? All next right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater. they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Not a total embarrassment. What are you doing? That was our touchdown celebration. You had since October 2nd to come up with something, and that was the best you could do. First thing I want to go over on the list is how. Okay, now what is that? What? You said to take the Halloween costumes off. Oh, I thought you were just getting ready to pick off Trevor Lawrence again. Speaking of, can somebody get Russ in here? Where's Russ? We're not really sure. He took his own plane home since we were making fun of him, so he's either praying or deadlifting right now. It's kind of a toss-up. Amen. Broncos country. We're 3-5. Did you guys all see that? Why are Cowboys fans running into the stadium? You have assigned seats. Do they not know that? I probably heard you were handing out free Lakers gear. They're running right by you, Bears. Can you stop them, please? No. Also, we're trading Roquan Smith. You're doing what? To the Ravens. Thank you. I know. Thank you. Oh, no, that's great. He'll make a great wide receiver for Lamar. All right, now Steelers, no. What? Yep, we're doing great. Had a really, really scary weekend. Not from Halloween, though. We just realized that Matt Canada is still employed. You guys still come to my house for dinner Sunday? I'm just trying to get a head count. You were coming, and you're coming? Okay, great. If you're busy, just let me know. I'm not, of course, because every Sunday I'm always open. I know that's a flag. Taunting. Thank you. Also, another flag for unnecessary and unlike football move. Why is that such a big deal now? Mac Jones makes this kind of moves every game. All right, that's enough. Where's Tyreek? Get him in here, please. I don't know. He's out there somewhere. Do you guys know we're putting up a statue of Barry Sanders? Have you been here the whole second half? Yes, we've just been really quiet. Okay, it might be just me, but I am seeing ghosts. Okay, calm down, Sam Darnold. They're decorations. It's Halloween. Ghosts, huh? Oh, you mean like the ghost perk in COD? Doesn't anybody scream the amount of gaming time you get? Someone call scream. I'm good with that. Let's run it. Okay. Elijah, can you just check? Is Zach okay? I know. I don't get the ball. In his defense, he doesn't get anybody on your team the ball. If you want the ball, put on a McCourty jersey. Okay, let's just... Are you going to allow that? That is so disrespectful to wear a costume on the sideline. Josh McDaniels dresses up as an NFL head coach for your game every weekend. What did Jamarcus Russell Jr. say? I can't hear. Someone's choking. Is somebody choking? All right, nobody panic. I think Atlanta's just choking again. Okay, can you see me? Can you see Kyle Pitts? He's wide open. They're choking. Bring in the crash cart. Wait. Someone else choking? Now you two, all right, take off the helmet so you can breathe. Flag. Okay, why don't we all just calm down? There's no need to be so aggressive. I've been saying that all season. Oh, I just bit my tongue. That'd be a first. I own you, dude. I shut you down. I wasn't even on you. You can't guard me. You can't guard me. Walker. Can't touch this. Did you see? Are you going to allow that? No, that's the hardest hit I've seen you make all season. All right, we need to get away from each other. Who even has only one tunnel, right? All right, everybody, we made it.
It's more fun when you can watch it, but hearing it's just fine.
Adam, when you say you're wearing your clown costume, is that to games? Is that
to work?
Around the house?
Are you wearing a Ben Simmons jersey?
Trenton, that's this young lady by the name of Annie Agar, A-G-E-R, I believe, or A-G-A-R, or whatever.
I think it's A-R.
She does these NFL. She started doing college meetings, and she got hired by Fox. She was just doing them working for a local affiliate in Grand Rapids, Michigan. She would do these Big Ten meetings. And then she got picked up by, I think, by Fox. And now she does these NFL meetings, but it's her own little fun pick on the NFL segment. And they're usually pretty good. I mean, she's definitely getting paid because I think she's got close to 750,000 followers on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's really easy to be famous on TikTok nowadays.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not easy, because if it was easy, everybody would do it.
I know. I could have. Look, I hate to say it. I hate to sound like this.
Shut up.
I could have.
No, you
easily.
Then why aren't you? Because you know what? Because my best friend's son is, and he's making big. He's got millions of followers.
Because I don't want to live that kind of life.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to live under. I don't want to live under a microscope.
Why are you in this business?
Well, there's a difference.
No, there's not.
Because TikTok famous versus being a beat reporter for the Miami Heat, big difference. The size of that microscope is different. Oh, come back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 17 minutes until we're out of here. As we wrap up a Football Friday edition of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Do you have a big list today? Some days you've got just a few things. Some days you're like, listen, shut up. I need all the time I can get.
No, I don't have a big list, but I have something on this list that I want to discuss.
Okay.
So let's get right to it, because I need to discuss some sports with you, David.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1856, Buchanan elected 15th president. 1861, the University of Washington founded in Seattle. In 1884, that is, Grover Cleveland elected for his first term, the only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms.
Yeah, we've got a guy who's going to try to match that.
Right. In 1922, Howard Carter discovers the tomb of King Tut. I did this for any Lions fans that are out there, because it's hard to believe that this happened. But in 1934, after shutting out their first 7 opponents, the Lions beat Pittsburgh 40-7. That's through 8 games. They were 8-0, and it allowed 7 points. I just thought that someone needed to know that there was a time that they actually had a good football team.
It was mentioned on Monday Night Football because the Cincinnati Bengals had not allowed a touchdown in the second half of their first 7 games. And so we said second time in NFL history, and rattled off that team, and then stopped. And Joe said, and by the way, they also that year didn't give up any touchdowns in the first half of their first 7 games. They posted 7 consecutive shutouts.
So I thought that was a fun little tidbit. 1951, the Ryder Cup at Pinehurst. Sam Snead, plane captain, U.S. crushes him. You said this was yesterday. I had it today. Eisenhower elected in 52. 61, Dylan makes his Carnegie Hall debut. Tickets were a hefty $2. Today in 76, one of the 2 little tidbits that I thought you would like. Today was the first mass market free agent re-entry draft. Reggie Jackson, Joe Rudy, Gene Tennis, Raleigh Fingers, Bobby Gritch, among those available in that first ever free agent re-entry draft.
Yep, Reggie signed with the Yankees after 1 year with the Orioles. Most people forget he didn't go from the A's to the Yankees. He did the 1976 season in Baltimore.
1979, 500 Iranian students seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 90 hostages for 444 days.
Yeah, but we got Nightline out of the deal, though.
And, well, today in 1980, Reagan is elected president.
I was going to say, we also got Reagan
until he was
right. So we got Reagan and Nightline out of the deal. All right. Hey, listen, for the hostages, this is not a good deal. It's not a good deal. But for the nation as a whole, Reagan and Nightline versus, low morale and then the, being made fun of and then the whole thing. But we got rid of Carter also. So, for some, they'd take that trade.
All right. Today in 87, the NBA announced 4 new franchises. Charlotte and Miami for 1980 and Minneapolis and Orlando for 1989.
Happy birthday, Miami Heat.
Think about these 4 franchises have come in and only one's been worth a damn. I mean, the Heat are an elite franchise. Orlando had a moment, a couple of moments.
A magic moment.
The T-Wolves have been pretty much dreadful since their existence.
Yeah, I mean, Garnett and company went to the conference finals once, but for the most part, the league, they're a bottom 5 franchise. They really are.
And they're a better franchise than Charlotte.
Ooh. You're probably right. I mean, Charlotte moved once, and it was just funny because of the 4 franchises, Charlotte up there with Orlando got off to the best start. I mean, remember, Charlotte got good pretty quickly. They were entertaining. Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues, Mourning. They were entertaining.
If you want to talk now, I think Minnesota looks way better than Charlotte.
I'm talking, this is 1987. I'm talking their existence as a franchise.
The past, present, the future,
Yeah, well,
their existence.
If you were to rank them very quickly, Felipe, those 4 franchises over 35 years, the Heat are clearly one.
I would go Heat. I would go Magic. I would go Wolves. I would go Hornets.
And there is such a canyon between 1 and 2.
And Orlando's clearly 2, despite the fact that right now they're arguably the worst franchise in the league for their last 5 years. They've been just dreadful.
2 NBA Finals appearances.
Right.
That's all you need.
Exactly. So they're clearly 2. And then I think you're doing rock, paper, scissors between the two.
I do too. I just thought on the anniversary of the Heat getting a franchise, what they've done compared to the other 3 is remarkable.
And think of all the bad things that we just said about the Timberwolves, and we're right. And yet a year ago, they sold for $1.5 billion.
Today in 89 was Orlando's first game in the Orlando Arena. They would lose to the Nets. Today in 2001, Arizona wins Game 7 against the Yankees.
Ooh, the broken bat over Jeter.
In 2009, the Yankees beat the Phillies in 6. Celebrating birthdays that are no longer with us, Will Rogers, Walter Cronkite, and Art Carney. Those with birthdays today. Loretta Swit from MASH is 85 years old. Hot Lips Houlihan.
Hot Lips came to Fargo in the late 90s. I was the one that got assigned to interview her because I was the assignment editor by day. And I said, you know what? I'm going to meet her. And the interview was going swimmingly. And then near the end, I transitioned and asked a MASH question. And she was bent. It's not what I'm here for. And I said, did you really think I wouldn't ask you one question about an iconic TV show? And she ended the interview.
David Moulton, ladies and gentlemen.
Part of my charm.
Jeff Probst from Survivor and Ralph Macchio are both 61 today.
He's 61?
Yeah.
Jeff Probst is 61?
What?
Man.
Oh, he looks amazing.
Those Botox shots are working.
Matthew McConaughey's 53, as is Puff Daddy. Vince Wilfork is 41. Devin Hester is 40. Des Bryant is 34. And Tyrese Maxey is 22.
Hey, Tyrese Maxey.
I like him.
By the way, you think Devin Hester could run back a touchdown in the NFL right now?
No, because all the kickoffs go through the end zone. But otherwise, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Obama was elected today in 08. That's what I got.
Okay.
I don't know. And obviously that was historic. So that's all I had.
And I don't know how I missed that because I've been pretty good about putting these president things on every day because there's not much else going on in early November.
Well, but that's okay. Your list and my list sometimes are a day off. We fight about it sometimes. I mentioned something and you go, I have that tomorrow. All right. Lincoln got married today. We always ask, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Well, Mary Todd became Mrs. Lincoln on this day in 1842. They had 22 really good years together. Did not end well.
Served veal at the wedding.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
So I had this good about a woman who was celebrating her 101st birthday, and she said the secret to a happy life is having tequila every day. And that's fantastic. I love it. But then I found this good, and I couldn't save it until Monday. An 8-year-old boy in India, David, wait until you hear this story. Deepak is the boy's name. Was playing in the backyard of his house when he was bitten by a cobra.
Oh.
He said, the snake got wrapped around my hand and bit me. I was in great pain as the reptile didn't budge when I tried to shake it off. So I bit it hard twice. It all happened in a flash. He killed the snake by biting it. Then was rushed to the healthcare center, given the antivenom, and he's fine. He's an 8-year-old badass.
He
bit the snake, a cobra.
So let me get this straight. He outbit the cobra?
He out-cobra'd the cobra.
Damn.
Dave Parker's got nothing on him.
Mamba mentality.
Could you imagine getting so mad at the snake you bite it? I mean, would you have ever even thought?
No.
All of a sudden you look, this thing's wrapped around your hand and it bites you. You bit me, you cobra! I'll show you! I mean, I gotta admit.
When you get bit, you yell, ow!
Right. I mean, I will say I was in the shopping cart with my mom at a young age, and I bit her, and she whacked me with her hand and had her nursing ring on it, split my lip wide open. Okay, I mean, I might have done that to the cobra. I might have backhanded it.
Your mom certainly would have.
Right, but she wouldn't have bit it. Now, she would have yelled at it. That she would have done. And continued shopping.
We go to St. Louis for the bad, where a couple of guys are going to spend a lot of time in prison. They got busted with 100 pounds of meth. And the kicker on this whole thing is they were set up and they got busted and all those things. But when they hired their lawyers, and apparently walking out of court, he says, I have a good lawyer. Or upon being arrested, rather, McDaniels, one of the two arrested, said, I have a good lawyer. And he was asked by the agents if he had a job and how he could afford a good attorney. He said, because I sell drugs. And then he laughed. Then he laughed and he said, nah, I sell dogs. They found him with 100 pounds of meth.
I got to admit, I don't have a lot of experience in the meth selling or buying territory, but 100 pounds of meth seems like a lot.
Really does. It really does.
It's not like weed, bags of weed and people get pulled over in cars and, Nate Newton, who we mentioned earlier in the show, all the weed in the back. 100 pounds of meth. I mean, it only takes a little meth, right?
I wouldn't know. And usually I answer that question differently, David. That I have no idea.
Mark's checking boxes here, and the person getting the paperwork back looks and goes, "Wait a minute, you checked no. Everything else is a yes."
For the ugly, we go to Naples, where Julia Franklin was pulled over. And upon being pulled over doing 71 and a 50, she apparently slammed on her brakes while passing the sheriff's car. Deputies performed a traffic stop and discovered that her license was suspended and she had an outstanding warrant. It was at that point she was ordered out of the vehicle, and she resisted and tried to escape and then bit one of the officers on the thumb.
Hey, he's not a cobra.
Thank you. Apparently breaking the deputy's skin and causing the deputy to bleed. That usually gets you your ass kicked, if you ask me. But it got her arrested and added a ton more charges to the previous ones they already had her on. And she'll be spending at least Thanksgiving and probably Christmas in the Collier County Pen. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, November the 4th, 2022.
I know I ask this question all the time. So you're annoyed with the cops. They're bothering you. I get it. They have automobiles, motorcycles, and guns. Do you really think you're getting out of this situation that you're in? I just, and by the way, there's a lot of them. They can call for help
quickly.
Right. I don't understand why people don't just accept their fate.
It's because you're not a stupid criminal, David.
No, I don't do meth. It's always, been a character flaw. Heat are in Indiana taking on the Pacers. By the way, just throwing this out there, the Warriors are playing their third game in 4 days. They've lost the last two, and they're going to New Orleans tonight. And the spread's only 4. Don't you take the Pelicans and lay 4?
Is Zion load management tonight, or is he going to play?
No, I think he's playing.
Okay.
So Chicago and Boston's your early ESPN game. Milwaukee and Minnesota. The Bucks are 7-0. That's your late game.
They're so good. They're going to win the chip again.
And their third best player is not even playing. Got 3 college football games tonight. UMass at UConn, Duke at BC, and believe it or not, a ranked team's playing tonight. Oregon State's at Washington.
There's a 1 o'clock hockey game today.
Yeah,
Columbus and Colorado. So if you're bored and want to watch some hockey, you've got Nathan McKinnon playing at 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, in Colorado, right? Or is this somewhere else? Is this game not in Denver? Okay. I mean, why is this game at 2 o'clock?
Oh, because it's in Finland.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Well, it makes a little more sense.
Thank you.
When does the series head back to the juice box? Minute Maid Park?
Tomorrow night, baby. Tomorrow night.
You guys said Astros in 6.
That's right.
And both of us rooting for a 7th game. David, enjoy the football. It should be tremendous. For everyone else, have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday morning, 6 a.m., right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts.